and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Far side, Kyrou. Ball straight away. Now to Buchnevich. To Kyrou. His shot blocked. Back to Kyrou. To Buchnevich. Far wing. They score! 7.6 to go. 5-4 St. Louis.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. We are broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios. That is what it sounded like last night right here in your home of the Blues, 101 ESPN. Bradford Bruns back in the studio for us today. We're at the Centene Community Ice Center. Appreciate you guys joining us here for the show. You can check us out, as always, on YouTube at youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. Alex, that was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of that hockey game.
Finally, we've had one of them.
Can you imagine being a Panthers fan? Because, boy, is that a fun team to watch. They play their asses off every single night. I was reminded last night of what Blues hockey once looked like, where it is just a grinded-out style. They've got Nico Mikkola running through the goalie. And I was like, man, that pissed me off as a Blues fan, but boy, would I love that if I was a Panthers fan. You've got Matthew Tkachuk behind the net getting into it with Joel Hofer. Hofer taking his second penalty of the season. Didn't know that a goalie was willing to do that.
Yeah, I got a little bit of a gripe with you because you texted like you were excited about Hofer getting into that. And I almost sent you a text and be like, you know what, F you, man, because you'd be complaining. You'd be bitching if that was Binnington doing that same thing.
To be fair, Binner skated by a guy and pretended to swing his stick.
That was hilarious.
This was Hofer.
That was hilarious.
Kind of. I'm not really sure if Hofer fell into him or actually tackled him.
Oh no,
Hofer
tackled him. Hofer tackled him.
Oh yeah,
that's fine. That's legal.
But no.
Swinging your stick in a guy's face
You
is not.
both would be bitching this morning about being like, oh, Binnington up to his old antics again. Get out of here.
No, loved it.
Hofer
Loved everything about it.
Play with it. How about that?
How many goals did he give up last night?
Well, last night wasn't.
That game rocked. There was in-game decisions by Jim Montgomery. You had the penalty. You have Snuggie go serve it for him. Snuggie, by the way, was like, man, I got to stretch this thing out. We'll see how we're feeling here. Barilli says, yep, he's good to go, Coach. Coach says, go over there, Snuggie. Snuggie gets into the box, and then Coach says, Snuggie, get on the ice. You're on the power play. He goes out there, scores the game-winning goal. It was beautiful.
Nailed it.
Everything about it was absolutely fantastic. Loved that game, and it reminded me of what it's like to watch winning hockey again.
Yep. Reminded me of what last year's stretch was, those 12 games in a row to get to the playoffs. I mean, that was the excitement. By the way, side tangent, how great of a decision was that by Jim Montgomery?
It's huge.
To put Snuggerud in the box for Hofer and realize that you're going to be coming out and you're staying on that power play. Like, that's the guy, because otherwise it's not him. Let's say that's Fabry in the box. You got to come to the bench. You got to get the guy on, hope that team maintains possession, and then jump into the play. So great decision by him. I mean, look, I know there's probably a large sum of Blues fans that are frustrated that they picked up 2 points last night. As much as I want this team to draft a elite player at the top of the draft, I think that time will still happen this year. They're going to go through their struggles like they've gone through all along. You need games like that, man. You need games to where your players feel good about themselves, to where you go out there and you beat up a good team. You're confident in your own game. But, guys, they had lost 4 in a row that were all one-goal games.
Oh.
Like, every single game, it was one-goal games. And you were in a one-goal game. You didn't have to pull the goalie in this circumstance, but you're on the power play, something that has been abysmal for you all season long. And the guy that I think a lot of Blues fans believe could be a face of the team moving forward scores the game-winning goal, who just continues to pepper shots on net. So, again, I want a top pick just like everybody wants a top pick. But I don't want a top pick in the same scenario that this team is awful for the next 15 years because they forget how to win.
Oh, yeah, I agree. They're going to win games. Like, even the worst teams in the NHL win some games. If the Blues win 1 out of every 3 the rest of the way, they're going to be a top 3 overall selection. Like they're fine, guys. They've lost enough at this point to where we don't have to be overly concerned about the tank. It's very much
Until
here.
I see him win 3 in a row for the first time, will I be concerned?
We're good. They can still win a couple here and there.
I don't know, though, man. You need a top 3 pick, all right? We don't want a 4 or 5 pick. I've already made my opinions known of what happens if this team drafts a defenseman.
Brandon.
Did you see Pavel Buchnevich's reaction after that goal went in?
You would have thought he won the lottery. Be like, yes, thank you, Jesus.
First of all, he's been playing great lately. We'll get into him more here in just a moment. But that raw human emotion is what Alex is talking about. You could feel the sense of relief of the monkey that was able to come off of the back of Pavel Buchnevich, where he's like, oh, thank you, Jesus. Sweet baby Jesus.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus.
They needed that. Yep. They needed that moment. They needed that win on home ice. The retro jerseys, which are awesome, by the way.
Yeah, you're damn right they are.
Let's stop.
They were great.
You were not allowed to speak on it because you didn't see them play in it.
Show night. By the way, really good crowd.
Sold out. So we were told last night that they sold out every single game on this homestand. Now, obviously, weather impacted a lot of people coming down to the game, but apparently, ticket-wise, they sold out every game this homestand.
As a fan who wants to go to these games with my 2-year-old who's obsessed with the Blues,
people.
It's really annoying because the prices are still extremely expensive for a team that's not playing particularly well. But kudos to them. Blues fans are still locked in on the team. It's great. Alex, I mentioned Pavel Buchnevich. What's going on? They moved him to center, which I thought he hated, and now he's playing the best hockey that we've seen from him in years.
Drew Bannister somewhere is breaking a lot of lumber in his garage that he's building picnic benches with because he's like, wait a minute, I tried this and it didn't work and it got me fired. I don't know what happened in Pavel Buchnevich's head, and I'd be fascinated to talk with him about it. Because last season, it was a jumbled mess when they tried him at the center position. He took it extremely personal when he lost faceoffs, and the play just didn't match what they needed from him. They weren't scoring goals, so they said, look, we got to put him back as a winger. Montgomery put him as a winger. Desperate times call for desperate measures. You were lacking centermen, and so you had to put Buch at center. I think it was 5 games ago. He's been a point-per-game player. He's got 1 goal, and I think he's got a +3 rating as you looked up as the center position. But it's not about the producing as much as it's watching him dictate play on the ice. They showed a couple of shots last night where he's holding the whiteboard, he's holding the tablet on the side of the bench with Kyrou, and he's pointing to areas. And you could read his words where he's like, no, I need you here. And then they're on the ice, and then he gets the 1-touch pass from Jordan Kyrou. He gets the 2-on-1 with Jake Neighbors, and they score. So sometimes awful situations lead to guys taking on leadership roles that you didn't expect to be leaders. I don't know if that's what's clicked for Pavel Buchnevich, but you want to talk about best case scenario for the Blues. If they've got a guy who just changes his personality because you put him in a position at the center spot, I mean, that's making a really good situation out of something that I think a lot of people were looking at as a bad one for Pavel Buchnevich.
He's taking ownership. That's what I would describe it as, is he is now suddenly like the leader of his line, and him and Kyrou have found some real chemistry together. I don't like, generally speaking, Pavel Buchnevich as a center, but if he plays like this, I'm good with it.
Yep.
I've got no issues whatsoever. I mean, last night, Pavel Buchnevich played 22 minutes, 4 minutes on the power play, 5.5 minutes shorthanded last night.
Well, there was a lot of shorthanded time last night.
No doubt. Had the 2 assists, both of which were beautiful. Was a +1 on the ice. He's now a plus since taking over as a center. He's basically 50-50 on the dot. Last night, Joey had a great breakdown on the call of what he's doing, like getting his hand as low as he possibly can on the stick to win these faceoffs. He's had 1 clean win late in that game yesterday. He just looks bought in.
Yep.
And some of the body language has been really not good by Pavel Buchnevich this season. I know TJ Oshie called it out in the game the other night. It's not perfect, and I don't think it's going to be perfect with Buch. But, man, this is a hell of a lot better. And if he can play this way as a center, keep him there.
Yep.
Keep him there for a little while and see what it looks like.
This is what I was telling you guys off air. Now, I don't know what's going to transpire for the rest of this season throughout the trade deadline and where this team is at. But in a hypothetical world, I think we're all in agreement. Braden Shen's probably on the trading block. And you're probably trying to move off of some of these core pieces, which may be Jordan Kyrou. So let's now go down the path that those two pieces are ones that are moved. If I'm looking at it, like if I'm Steen and Doug Armstrong looking into the future, Thomas is my number 1 center. Dvorsky's my number 2 center. I've got a ton of wingers. If Pavel Buchnevich is this to where Pavel Buchnevich, did you just pull a Jimmy Snuggerud?
Just great.
Did you just pull a Jimmy Snuggerud? You might score a goal here to let it. Man, he just made a face where I thought you went number 2 in your pants, and I'm like, what's just happened here, man? I'm about to make an incredible breakdown, and you're over here wincing. Shake it off. Walk it off, man. Walk it off for everybody on YouTube.
My hamstring just went, oh.
You look like Jimmy Snuggerud on the bench. You're like, Anyway, before BK rudely interrupted me with his hamstring problems.
Over there, I was listening to this breakdown.
If Pavel Buchnevich can be the leader, that's a third-line center for you with a ton of wingers on your roster, and then you build from there. Maybe Pius Suter can become a trade chip.
Which I want to do.
There you go.
He has no
you see what else is out there. Maybe a Nick Bukestad could be. But are we good now, Hammy?
That scared the bejesus
No
out
joke.
of me.
I'm trying to make a breakdown over here, and then I see this. Oh.
And he jumped, too. He kind of scared me.
You know how you can feel it coming on? I tried to avoid it, and I was like, no. We're not doing that right now.
You gotta massage it out, buddy.
Boy.
Massage it out.
That did not feel good at all.
I guess I'll try and make my point a little bit later on in the show when people are listening.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't hear a word you just said.
I could tell from your face.
Suter, so
We're trading Pius, so Booch is our third-line center with a lot of wingers.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. If you guys want to check out the show on YouTube, you can do so at youtube.com/101 ESPN STL. That's where you can see what my face looks like.
You should go see it, ladies and
the next time that I potentially... Somebody says BK on IR. Call up Matt Adams.
Is he available?
I think so, man.
Let's call him.
I think so.
I'll take it.
We will talk with Mike McKenna after a win. How about it?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that.
That's coming up in 15 minutes here on BK and Ferrario. Ask us anything at the end of the hour. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. It's 11:15. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, T-Bone is all in. We got a text last night, Alex, after the Illinois game. The Illini are winning the national championship. Why? What has changed for T-Bone? And do they fit in to at least one National Insider's top 6 national title contenders? We'll answer that for you next year on 101 ESPN.
The Spread Zone, where sports betting meets reckless optimism, questionable logic, and the occasional stroke of genius. With hosts Anthony Stalter, Tim McKernan, and Scott Rizzuto. Check out the latest from the Spread Zone at 101ESPN.com or the 101 mobile app. The Spread Zone is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more.
Vehicles priced under $20,000. Payments below $300 a month.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Another night, another win for T-Bones fighting the Illini. They're without one of their best players right now. It just doesn't matter. They're playing 7 dudes. They're winning all of these games. Last night, a ho-hum 75-66 win against Washington at home.
Never really sweated it.
Just an easy, quick work, no problem win. They are considered to be among the elite teams in all of college basketball this season. We got a text last night, Alex, from T-Bone after this game and said the Illini are winning it all.
Wow.
No doubt about it. Illinois winning it all.
Yeah.
We don't typically see it this late in the season, though.
Yeah, but we see it.
Normally, that's something we get right around Thanksgiving. They'll play in some kind of big tournament. Illinois looks really good. They go up against these name brand programs. T-Bone sends us a text, and he's like, this is it. This is the year. They're going to win it all. And like a few years ago, I just pulled it, 2023. They beat Texas, and he was like, oh, they're doing it. They're going to win it all.
Was that the last Shannon year? I think it was.
Then they lose to Penn State, and T-Bone's like, oh, this team sucks. And then they get beat by Mizzou, and he's like, I'm out. I'm done with this Illinois
losing
team.
to Mizzou would drive someone crazy.
This year, he's had his concerns, especially coming off of that game against UConn. But for most of the season, he has remained steadfast. This team might be a little different. And then Wagler has had his recent performances, and he's like, I don't know, man. I think I'm in. This team's legitimately going to win the title. T-Bone, why is it different in your mind? Why is this team going to be able to do what no other recent Illinois team has been able to?
For me, it's because on any given night, if your best player, Wagler, for example, in this case, and he was good last night, it wasn't 40-something points like it was at Purdue. But if he has an off night, they've got anybody that can really pick up the offensive load to make things click for them. Wagler started off hot in that game last night, and then he went into a bit of a rut. And you could tell he didn't really have his shooting form. He was missing a bunch of free throws in that game as well. And what happens is you end up with Mirkovic just says, okay, don't worry, I got this, right? And he ends up finishing with 19 points, hits 3 3-pointers, which were big, and gets 6 rebounds. And then it is, Ben Hummerkaus, who hasn't done a whole lot offensively this year. All right, I'll go for 14 points while also playing solid defense. And I was just looking at this because I was curious because Stojakovic, who I really enjoy, especially when he is on his game, he finished with just 8 points in last night's contest. And I was like, it feels like he's kind of been struggling of late for Illinois. He has scored less than 10 points in 4 of his last 5. Now, he had a 30-point bomb in there when he played well a couple games ago, but he hasn't scored 10 points in 4 of the last 5. Typically, when you'd have a guy like that for Illinois, it would be a disaster. You wouldn't be on this winning streak.
Trust me, I know. That's how Mizzou operates. They have a guy that it scores below his season averages. They're like, where do we get this scoring from?
Exactly.
Where do we turn?
And that's not a problem for Illinois. This is what happened last year with that team that, man, early on I really fell for with Yakachonis and Riley. And those guys were awesome. And then they hit that freshman wall about midway through the year. And when they couldn't score, it was, whoa, okay, who's picking up the load for this team? And they never really found the rhythm again. This year, I have no concerns about it. I mean, you mentioned it. They're without Boswell, who's another one of their best players. He hasn't been playing, and they haven't lost a step offensively. And they're still just as good defensively. They've only given up 70 or more points. I think it's twice in their during this winning streak. And one of those was right at 70. The other was they gave up like 84 to Purdue, who's a really freaking good basketball team. So, yeah, watching this team, and the other thing, too, they're so big and physical. Like Washington, I know the rebounding battle was similar and the fouls were close. Most of the fouls Washington committed last night were loose ball fouls because they couldn't handle the size of Illinois. Mirkovic was like, I'm a man, now get out of here, and I'm going to go get the board. And I'd go, oh, my God, we got a bear hug him.
How deep is their bench? Like in terms of guys you feel comfortable stepping on the court?
Yeah, they'll go 3 deep when they've got Boswell back. And the best part about it is it's 2 guys that have really taken their game to the next level. Jake Davis, he didn't do much last night, but he's become kind of a 3-point corner specialist where he just basically goes to the corner. They find him when they have, whether it be Wagler or Stojakovic drive, defense collapses in, they kick it out, boom, he makes them pay. And then Hummerkaus is another one that has really evolved his game. As Brennan Wood said last night, he couldn't guard Izzo's mom last year. He's become a lockdown defender for them late, and he has more offensive upside. He had been struggling so far this year, and last night he showed, hey, he can be a little bit of a three-point shooter as well.
I mean, if you have 3 deep off of the bench with the starting 5 that you feel very comfortable with, you're one of the best teams in college basketball.
Correct.
When you're that deep, you're already 10 up on most dominant teams when it comes to college hoops.
I have always said, like, when you get into the tournament, I don't like the teams that go too deep.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be 10 or 12 guys as part of your rotation. You should be cutting down the rotation, especially by this point in the season. You should have 7 or 8 guys that you really trust. And I think that's where Illinois is. I mean, I think last night they played 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because you didn't have Boswell available for you. That's great. At this point in the season, these guys are all good enough. They're all young enough. They can make it through. They're fine. I like what they're doing with their rotation. T-Bone's obviously a homer. So you would expect him to believe in this team.
You're going to fight back on that?
A little.
I'm not saying that's it, yeah, I am. He's a homer. So he's going to believe in his squad. But it's not just T-Bone that's believing in this Illinois team. Neutral observers are also taking notice. Ken Palm ranks them in the top 5 right now with his metrics. And by the way, T-Bone mentioned this to us last night. I want to give him credit. They mentioned it on the broadcast. Illinois' offensive rating, their efficiency offensively right now, I believe is the best that Ken Palm has recorded in the last 30 years. So it's not just T-Bone falling in love with this offense. They are, by the metrics, as good as you will find in modern college basketball.
Next time, stop going to get pros playing over in the Euro League.
Are you kidding me? Why not take advantage of the system?
Yeah, I would say
welcome to the NCAA.
Dennis Gates defended the non-NBA or NBA that's playing for Alabama, which was assigned to me that, Mizzou's going to try this at some point, too.
They should.
CJ Moore, rules.
I think CJ Moore of The Athletic is one of the better basketball writers out there right now. And every year, about this time of the year, he puts out a piece that says these are the teams that can actually win the national championship this year. And this season, he says there are 6 teams that, based on history, based on what you typically would expect out of a national title team, these 6 could legitimately win the national title this season. Those 6 are Arizona, Michigan, who I think is the best team in the country right now, UConn, Houston, Nebraska,
interesting,
and Illinois.
Will you check the list again? I didn't hear Mizzou.
Yeah, no, they're nowhere near it.
Oh.
That's a shame.
Those are the 6 teams that a neutral observer believes can win the title.
I don't feel bad about losing by 13 to UConn now.
No, 100%. By the way, he also had a category of mid-majors who can legitimately make a run. And SLU was the top team on that list as well, saying last weekend the Billikens were the leading college basketball in effective field goal percentage, both on offense and defense. No team has ever led basketball in both categories since Ken Palm began tracking those. They've since, unfortunately, dropped to 3rd on offense. But it's a good formula. Josh Schertz considered to be one of the best offensive minds in the sport. And they have a player who at Indiana State was under Josh Schertz, spent 4 years in the system. Team is incredibly fun to watch. He's a believer in what SLU is doing as well. We've got 2 local teams, Alex, that could legitimately go on a real run this year in the NCAA tournament, and one that might miss.
They're bubble.
Yeah. Depending on where you look, they're in.
They're bubble. You just hope that bubble doesn't pop like this weekend.
This is a must-win this weekend.
Yeah,
for Mizzou.
I kind of just assume most of them are must-wins for Mizzou if you want to get into the tournament.
They basically have to win, I would say, 9 or 10 games in conference play. So you've got to get at least 5 more wins the rest of the way.
Yeah.
You've got to beat Mississippi State twice. You probably need to win next weekend against South Carolina. That's one of the other easiest teams on your schedule. And then you've got to find 2 more wins somewhere. Probably Oklahoma on the road.
Yeah.
And then win 1 more.
If
you can do that, you probably find yourself right on the bubble, and then maybe you win a game in the SEC tournament, and that's enough to get you on the right side.
The fact that you have 2 local teams that are in this conversation I mean, frankly, for how St. Louis sports has been going lately, it's very good to have. And I don't mean to just rain on everyone's parade because SLU does have this massive game tonight. But, man, I don't know if you guys have just been seeing, like, Josh Schertz is just popping off right now. He was on Barstool Sports yesterday. I mean, I've seen 3 or 4 articles today that have said, like, oh, man, Josh Schertz is going to be one of these guys that every college basketball team is going to be looking at as their next head coach next year.
Yep.
So, again, I'm not trying to rain on the parade because this is such a fun season. But, man, Josh Schertz is one of those guys that, like, you are going to do something truly magical this year with SLU. And then it's going to be so heart-wrenching when you see that guy leave because of how great he was for your team.
Just enjoy it. Enjoy the ride while you've got it and worry about whatever comes in the offseason when we get to the offseason. For now, though, like the next 2 months, this is your time as a SLU fan. You've waited a really long time to get back to this place.
It's
and
Majerus, right?
Yeah. Tonight, by the way, the tickets to get in, I have not checked.
I saw one for $390 to get an upper bowl.
I think the lowest I saw earlier was $100 to get in.
To
if I'm
get
not
in?
mistaken.
That's amazing.
Somebody posted $390 for an upper bowl seat.
Let me double check that. But I saw, according to ESPN, the lowest ticket available is $99 to go watch the Billikens take on the Flyers of Dayton tonight.
Yeah, that's right. I'm looking right now at the site that I typically use. If you want to get 2 tickets tonight to the game, the cheapest is $99 for upper level.
Good for them, man.
Beyond that, though, I mean, you're talking about $100 to $120 minimum just to go get in the game.
This reminds me when I was younger and they were a team that was into the tournament and had really good teams that were in the top 25. Like, that is going to be an awesome atmosphere tonight. And it's going to be another test to what BK has talked about when we talked about them in their win against George Washington earlier in the week. Dayton's a solid defensive squad, right? They're top 50, I think, in the defensive ratings based on KenPom. And what BK has brought up is, okay, how's that offense look against some better defensive teams that you're going to see on your schedule? We'll get another good idea tonight when they go up against Dayton. Yeah,
Dayton will turn you over like crazy. That's the biggest thing for them is they really get after you defensively and force a lot of steals. So if you're SLU, you've got to really take care of the basketball. It's something that at times has been a bit of an issue for them, and I'll be curious to see how that plays into things. They're one heck of a team, though, man. I enjoy watching them a lot. This is one of those games where if you want to make sure you're an at-large team and not just the one team from the A-10 that potentially gets in based on winning the conference tournament, you got to take care of these games. Got to take care of your games against Dayton. You got to take care of your game that comes up in a few weeks against VCU as well. If you do that, you can afford maybe like a loss against Duquesne or whatever on your resume, because then you've added in some of these resume-building victories. By the way, that win against Santa Clara is getting better and better. They are jumping up on the rankings. That is a win on SLU's resume that will really help them by the time that we get to Selection Sunday.
How's that Lindenwood win? Is it upgrading at all? No?
They're 236 in town.
Let's look at Lindenwood hoops. Just got a huge victory over Southern Indiana Screaming Eagles. They're 13-9, and in that Ohio Valley Conference, boy, they're just continuing to rise.
Alongside Alex.
Floating around the top 5?
I'm BK.
And there are only 8 in the conference.
Watch
314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line to get involved in the show. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, it is a Friday. That means it's Ask Us Anything. We'll get into those coming up here in about 15 minutes. We do have our guy, Mike McKenna. Macadoodle Mike. He's going to join us in studio coming off of a victory. He'll do so next year on 101 ESPN.
Do you have what it takes to beat the Blues? Tune in to BK and Ferrario every Thursday for your shot to take out a member of your St. Louis Blues. And you can win a signed puck and tickets to an upcoming game. Learn more at 101ESPN.com.
With Alex Ferrario, I'm Brandon Kiley. It is time to get in on the action over on the Underdog app. Alex, they've got a big reveal over on the Underdog app today, so open that thing up, see what's available for you. They also have these boost builders. As you continue building more and more of these over the next week or so prior to the big game, you'll continue getting bigger and bigger boosts. I, though, am going to take advantage of what they have available for tonight's game for SLU. How about this? You can get in on the action. I've got Robbie going higher on his points plus rebounds plus assists. I've got Javon Bennett going lower. He's got 2.5 as three-pointers. I'm going to go lower on that. I do, however, have their best steal artist, Deshane Montgomery, going higher than 2.5 steals in this game. Put those three together, 6-1 odds over on the Underdog app.
Download it today. Get in on all of the action. Of course, prepare for the big game coming up next weekend. All of it over on the Underdog app. Use promo code BKO to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code BKO. Underdog, make plays, win money. Must be 18 plus and present in Missouri. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms. _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.ncpgambling.org.
America's fools.
The Patriots are fool's gold.
Are .101 ESPN Sports Center.
Blues sweep season series with Panthers. Good morning. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Last night at Enterprise Center, a St. Louis native's 2-goal effort wasn't quite good enough. Matthew Tkachuk's Florida bunch suffering that 5-4 loss to the note. Jimmy Snuggerud pottered his third career game-winning goal tomorrow. STL eyes another positive outcome downtown as Columbus awaits puck drop set for 6 p.m. on 101 ESPN. College Hoops number 9 Illinois staves off Washington 75-66. 21st-ranked SLU will host Dayton roughly 7 hours from now. This Sports Center update has been presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. We're going between the pipes with former NHL goaltender Mike McKenna.
Mike McKenna. How do you like me now?
Between the Pipes is refreshed by Macadoodle Spirits, fine wine, beer, and cigars. Now open in Darden Prairie.
News from Blues Morning Skate as Jimmy Snuggerud not on the ice today alongside Alex and T-Bone. I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Luff was recalled earlier today. He's gone back and forth. My guess is he just stayed here in St. Louis, but
God, you hope
anyway.
so.
Yeah, God, frequent flyer miles. It's working out well for him. We now have Mike McKenna joining us in studio, though. Joins us each and every Friday on behalf of the fine folks over at Macadoodles. This is back-to-back weeks, I believe, where Mike McKenna has joined us coming off of a win. How you doing today, Mike?
Yeah, man, we're rolling. I tell you what, if there's anybody that knows about being sent up, sent down, Marriott points, frequent flyer miles,
I was just going to say,
I'm your guy.
you are the expert to talk to.
Dude, I'm like platinum elite for the next 3 lifetimes.
You had the record, didn't you, for one season? Or like, I don't know if it was a record, but I swear you were like, there were news stories about how many teams you were a part of and how many times you went from the AHL to NHL in one season.
Yeah, I mean, ironically, it was my last year pro. And I was on 3 NHL teams in like 3.5 days, 5 teams that year, and up and down. And this one, I was just laughing. I was actually texting with an old goalie coach of mine, NHL guy, yesterday, how we were laughing about some of these like one-day call-ups. You know, and I remember when I was with Columbus, I got a one-day call-up just in case Bobrovsky and McElhaney couldn't be ready because they weren't sure. Like both of them were like a little banged up. It was kind of like, well, it was like last night's game where realistically are you going to get Neighbors or Kyrou and Sundquist all or none or one? So this is where Luff and the rest of the crew, like, you're happy to grab a paycheck, but your life is just completely in flux. You grab a week worth of clothes in a bag and just, yeah, okay, see you later, man. I don't know where I'm going to be. You're in hockey purgatory.
But I guess you get the NHL salary for that one day, so that's worth it.
Well, I tell you what, that last year pro got me a house and an Acura. So, I mean, it was I named that Acura Pierre Eugene, too, after Pierre Dorion, the GM of Ottawa, and Eugene Melnick, the owner. So thank you, Pierre Eugene. But
you make
awesome.
What, 10 grand?
Oh, dude, like,
for a game?
Dude, I can remember when I was playing in the Coast in the ECHL, and I was making $450 a week my first year, and I got called up to the American League, where the league minimum was at that time, like, I don't know, 30 grand or whatever. So your salary goes way up, but then you hear these stories of guys that the NHL at that time was $2 grand a day on league minimum, and you're just thinking, man, if I even got 2 days there, you know,
yeah, right?
And so, but this is real. Like, this is actually. I can remember one moment where I knew a team was going to send me down. It was Arizona, I'll say. Who cares, right? And they were just going to flip me out with the other goalie because he was a prospect. I obviously wasn't in my old age of 30 years old and not being their draft pick, despite having a .935 save percentage, leading the American Hockey League in every statistical category in late January.
Not a big
while
deal.
the other prospect goaltender had played 12 games that season. So naturally, they were going to flip me out after one start.
Yeah, makes sense.
Story of my life with this stuff, right?
Well, it was Arizona too at the time, Mike. And what's Arizona trying to accomplish? Get a high draft pick.
It was a lot, right? So, like, I remember sitting there in the hotel room though, and it was with a handful of guys that, like, pretty big dudes, like good players, like they make a lot of money, and I knew I was being sent down the next day, and we're just having drinks and we're kind of laughing, but I was like, they could tell I was like devastated, and they're like, "Oh man, you'll be back." I'm like, first off, no, I don't think I'm going to be back. But second, you guys, like, you understand, man, like, being up for a month or a couple weeks or something that's a year of college for my kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that I, as an American League player, you make a good living in the American League, but you don't make NHL money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, most guys in the American League are somewhere between, like, league men's over 50 grand now, but most of them are, 100, 200 is realistic, but it's fleeting. And like, that just kind of, like, I remember the one guy who's on TNT now occasionally and on Chicklets occasionally and not Biz, but was kind of like, oh, dude. I was like, yeah, man, like, I really work for this. And then, but then in the same instance, you go back and you go to work. You don't sulk on it.
Yeah.
You know, you just get on with it.
All right, Mike, let's talk a little bit about what we saw last night, because that was awesome. That was a really fun hockey game.
Totally.
I know this is mostly a lost season, and the vast majority of our conversations previously and moving forward will be about how bad the team has been and what this all looks like in the future. But for today, we can just talk about what that was last night. What did you take from that game?
Well, can we also talk about the fact that the Blues fans keep showing up?
We were talking about that earlier. It's great.
Despite the fact that
All
the
3
team
games
has
sold
not
out.
been great. This is such a hockey town now, man. And look at the apathy for the Cardinals. And the Blues, all I hear from people about the Blues is like, oh my God, they're so bad. They're so bad. And deep down, I'm like, man, they're really not that bad. It's just that there's such a glut in the middle right now in the NHL that even winning 40% of games feels terrible. I do think there's the factor of losing games in the last minute or two that's really crushed.
Oof.
Like the Dallas game. But last night's, yeah.
Stop it, Brandon.
Stop, man. I'm trying to be positive.
Dang
here.
it.
So, like, here's the thing. Like, last night's game was a blast, and it's funny for me because that wasn't a very good goalie game.
No, not at all.
It wasn't.
No.
Like, both goalies were down early, exposed. Like, that wasn't the greatest game for either of them, but of pure entertainment standpoint, for the Blues to get up in the game, and then, oh gosh, Florida rallied back, and then to kill a 4-minute penalty where, like, it was like building a crescendo. I could even hear it. Like, I was at a board meeting last night where we're watching, it's in the background, and I could even hear it, like the crowd just kind of ramping up, and to come back and win a game with 8 seconds left, 7.9, whatever it was, definitely not 6-7. And to have, like, the players involved that were, like, Kyrou's been possessed the last couple games, like, and to see Buchnevich make a great cross-ice pass. And the best reaction on Snuggerud's goal was Buchnevich.
Yes.
He stood there, and, dude, he looked like, what is it in Brazil? Christ the Redeemer? Like the big statue that just, that's what he looked like. And he just held Christ the Redeemer for like 10 seconds.
I thought he was just going to trust fall, but nobody was behind him, so it's like, easy, Booch.
But that's a moment where, as a player, you can just feel like the relief come off that, like, we did it. And that's what's cool to see as an ex-player is you can really feel the emotion that's been played out, and they had it. And that was a rough game, dude. Like, greasy, ugly, ton of penalties, in-your-face style, and they didn't back down from it for a second. And, I mean, Jake Neighbors has a lot to do with that, but that was a good game all around in a lot of ways. Had to grind, had to score, had to come back. It was a fun game to watch.
So, Mike, the more and more I watch Jimmy Snuggerud continue to develop and gain confidence with that shot, the more and more I'm thinking it's like this guy is going to be he's going to have an elite shot in the NHL. And I don't know what that's going to mean because a lot of that's just on his growth. Take me through his shot as a goaltender. What makes it difficult?
I stood out here in Centene and watched him one day after we finished up. And the first thing for me is that he wants to kill the puck. He is out there to murder the puck. And not everybody's like that. Ovechkin's like that. Brett Hull was like that. Your true snipers just want to blast. But what Snuggerud does well, I think his release is kind of similar to Stamkos and how he shoots. He's a little bit upright, same stick, same curve, probably a little more flex to it, a little bit longer in Stammers, but you can see it comes off the blade with a lot of spin. It's heavy when it comes off the blade with a lot of spin. When people talk about a heavy shot, it means there's a lot of rotation on the puck. And that means that when, as a goalie, it wants to go through you. Okay, so some guys have heavy shots, some don't. His does. But I think that what makes his tricky, especially on the one-timer, is he's in that elite category where he can shoot it back foot, front foot. He can adjust to it.
Yeah.
That's a really difficult skill to teach, and he just crushes. But it's interesting because he's got two different versions of himself. He's got the off wing on the power play one-timer, which I'd love to see them utilize as much as they can for the Blues. And then he's got the on the wing when he's playing the right side, carrying the puck with strength, quick release down the wing, where he looks more like Alex Tuck. So I just think he's got a pretty dynamic shot. And I think, especially when he's on the wing and releasing it well, he's got enough movement on his hands that it disguises it.
I don't know if you have the answer to this question, Mike, but I'll ask it anyways. In pitching, we see a lot of the numbers that guys are chasing, right? You mentioned the spin, and that's what brought this to mind for me is guys will chase that spin on their pitches, and you can measure velo, you can measure the break, you can measure the spin, all of these different things. Are we seeing that start to be incorporated into hockey where guys can now measure that kind of stuff with their shot? I know velo, obviously, you can see how hard the shot is, but is there anything else that we can measure with that stuff?
Actually, I don't think it ever has. I think it's one of those things that just players have it or don't. I don't think they're specifically trying to.
Sure.
It tends to be the players that really hit the ice with some velocity and the way they release heel to toe can get that off. Like Ovechkin's shot's just a waffle. You don't know where it's going. Whereas Snuggerud places it pretty well. Like that, guys, that shot and that passing sequence was unbelievable.
Well, and the fact that he got that shot off because that puck was bobbling. Like it was wobbling it was not a clean pass.
No, but it was in the right space, and he's that strong on his stick that it doesn't bother. And again, when you're swinging for the fences, you're just trying to get it there.
Because most guys have to dust that off. They get it, they settle it, then they release it.
Dude, we just had power play practice with the Kirkwood A1 team the other day, and we were out there. And the whole power play practice was no stick handling. We're trying to get him to move it quickly.
Yeah.
And that's what you saw with the Blues. Look at Neighbors' goal. How long was the puck on any Blues player's blade? Half second, you know, and that's the key to playing fast is don't dust it off, keep your feet going, advance the puck. And we saw a decent amount of that last night.
We're talking to Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie here on 101 ESPN.
So, Mike, one more because I wanted to ask about Pavel Buchnevich. You mentioned Kyrou looking possessed. Buch has kind of looked possessed at times too. Man, I was so out on him being a center last year, and I don't know how all of a sudden you put him on the center position, and not only is he playing better, but he is dictating play for his teammates on the ice.
It didn't look good last year. I thought he was a winger through and through, and kind of by necessity this year, you've had to let him do it. He is a good skater, and that's your number one factor of being a centerman. You got to skate. I just wonder if it's actually put a little bit of good pressure on him, that it's also freed him up. Like if you're playing center, you can skate anywhere you want. You're supposed to. I don't know. I mean, coaches know better than we do the mentality of a player. Maybe the thought process is he's just overthinking and staying in his lane too much on the wing. Maybe if we free him up at center and let him go. I think for like this type of player with Buchnevich, that's a temporary bump that can work, not a permanent solution. But it seems like it's at least just giving him a bit of energy, kind of like Hofer when he got ran over and almost fought Kachuk last night. So.
Yeah, my eyes went straight to Tarasov. Did anyone else's eyes go straight to Tarasov? He didn't even flinch, though. So I'm like, come on, man.
My question was, I mean, they already had a goalie fight with Bobrovsky and Nedeljkovic, and Bobrovsky being the Panthers goaltender, Nedeljkovic for the San Jose Sharks. I mean, and there hadn't been a goalie fight in 6 years, I think.
Yeah, thanks a lot, officials, when Bennington and Fleury could have gone at it.
Yeah, Fleury, we have a little fun for the fan here. Can we do that?
God, he just wanted to go so bad.
Yeah, and it's just the spectacle for the fan, but you don't want to end up being like Ricky DiPietro getting his career ended by Brent Johnson with a massive left hook.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, listen, I had one fight in pro in my life, and it was not a fight. It was two polar bears dancing for 15 seconds. There were two wild punches thrown. I was taken down by a 6'4". I found the only goalie in the ECHL taller than me. He was 6'4" at the time. And it was the worst fight you've ever seen. Thing was, we were waxing them. I get named second star of the game, and I walk out for it because you get tossed. I walk out in my shorts and T-shirt, gave the fans a wave. There was like 10 minutes left when the fight happened. You're a folk hero when you do stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I was in trouble. There was no way I was going to win that fight at all, but it was like, I guess I got to do this. Like, it was a big line brawl, and
that's awesome.
We went for it. So, I mean, tick the boxes. Scored a goal in juniors, had a fight in pro. I mean, at least played some NHL games. Didn't do great, you know?
You were good enough.
Hey, man, you always have on your resume, NHL goalie Mike McKenna. That's more than a hell of a lot of people can say.
And you started the backup goalie trend of towels around the neck. You see it all the time.
Brought it back. My hero, Greg Millen.
That's fair. That's fair.
That, like, we've lost some legends of the game, goaltenders, in the last couple months. We haven't really talked about that. But, like, Glenn Hall and Bernie Perrant and Eddie Jockerman, and just – people that give me goosebumps talking about them. We've lost them, but like, yeah, man, it is fun to kind of have a little place. Like that backup towel thing was just funny. It was kind of a dare, and it was like, yeah, let's do it. And now you're seeing it again, and the hot stick deal. The response is always, "Oh my God, that was you." So,
see,
forever tied to at least some NHL memory.
All right, Mike, we do this each and every week. We get to talk a little bit of hockey with you. We also get to talk about what you have available right now over at Macadoodles. What can people expect when they walk through the door?
Well, thankfully, today's show brought to you by Skimmers. We have plenty of Skimmers in Macadoodles, and priced excellent. Those iced teas are delicious. We had a pretty rambunctious game this morning at Kirkwood Hockey, 7 a.m. Friday morning, and Jeff Cleveland there was really anxious, and he was like, "Man, I really, what's going to be the word today?" And I was like, "I don't know, man." I was like,
"Calm down."
He's like, "Rambunctious." I'm like, "Well, that's it." So the first person to walk through the doors at Macadoodles and say the word rambunctious and ring the bell in honor of Jeff Cleveland, I've got a bottle of Old Forester 1924, super allocated. These just dropped in our market. You run in and yell that, and you got it. So that's for anybody that walks through the door there. We also have the big game coming up, which, as you know, is the big game, which we are ready for. We've got Neutral running at great prices, 30 packs, Bud Light, Bud Select, you name it. Some really good deals in wine coming up for Valentine's Day as well. So we've got this really cheeky line called Send Nudes. Yeah. And Sexual Chocolate. These are wines, mind you.
Of course.
But I tell you what, people sure like them around Valentine's Day. So we got those on sale coming up in February. They actually do have a couple allocated bottles hitting the shelf today. Don't go crazy, folks, but there will be a few of them out a little bit later today.
You can expect that when you walk through the door at Macadoodles. You can always see the smiling face of our friend Mike McKenna. Mike, appreciate the time as always, man. We'll talk with you again next week.
Sounds great. I'll be there. Just north of Page Extension, Brian at Fisey Road. Come say hi.
He's Mike McKenna, former NHL goalie, joins us each and every Friday on BK and Ferrario. Coming up next, 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line. If you guys have any questions, we will answer them and ask us anything here on 101 ESPN.
You can now listen to 101 ESPN on demand. Get caught up on all our shows and podcasts at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. 101 ESPN podcasts are presented by the Schaefer Door Company. KXOS, WXOS, HD1 East St. Louis, 101 ESPN is driven by Brown and Crouppen Law Firm. Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the ENB Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. You've got questions, we may have the answers. Maybe. It's BK and Ferrario's Questions and Answers on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone on BK, you've got BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. 314-399-9646. That is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. If you guys have any questions, sports or otherwise, we'll get to them right now. But first, some news to pass along from Adam Schefter. The Vikings have fired their general manager. Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah has been fired by the Minnesota Vikings. He added, throughout the season, there was talk of underlying tension in the Vikings building. One league source said it had been, quote-unquote, ugly in Minnesota. Today, the Vikings have officially fired their general manager. Wow.
Good stuff for them. That's not a good that's not a good vibe check to have for a team that was expected to be good this year and then, fires them right after the season's over.
This screams classic power struggle in Minnesota.
Agreed.
And I think there had, to the point of like Schefter saying,
like Buffalo.
There had been some buzz in that. Well, that one I think was surprising. This one, there had been some buzz about O'Connell and the GM and what their direction really was. And it turns out O'Connell apparently had more sway than we may have been expecting in that organization.
I'm not surprised that O'Connell's the one that has sway there.
I guess he was hired first before he took over, wasn't he?
He's the one that has, I would say O'Connell's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Yep. I think it's easier to find a solid GM than it is to find a real tangible plus as a head coach. So I would have sided with O'Connell as well. I think you could feel this last offseason. Yeah. With a lot of the buzz of what the plan was at the quarterback position, I think all of this stems from the J.J. McCarthy decision.
Yep, that's what I think.
Because the Vikings very clearly put their eggs in the J.J. McCarthy basket, and I never got the sense that Kevin O'Connell was particularly interested in J.J. McCarthy. Yeah. It never felt like he was convinced this guy's good.
Yeah, they didn't want to pay Sam Darnold, and they said, well, we're going to go the cheaper route so we could keep the roster competitive, and we're going to go get the cheaper quarterback. When the coach was saying, no, get the quarterback that just won us 14 games.
Remember the buzz of Aaron Rodgers last year?
That's what I was just about to bring up. I mean, that didn't happen for no reason, right? That was clearly
coming
O'Connell
from somewhere.
Believed. And remember, wasn't there reports during training camp as well as hey, give this guy time, because if we're going to develop him into a quarterback, this is going to take us some time.
Yeah, I wonder what this means for their quarterback position this offseason. I wonder if they're a team that could get in
Kirk Cousins is about to get released.
I mean, maybe. I'm not kidding. Sure.
I was thinking either Tua, Kyler, if those guys get released. I could see that.
It's definitely not J.J. McCarthy, and we said this during the season. I'm not sold by the one quarter of how good he looks for how bad he looks in the other three quarters. And there's no more patience with that. You paid Justin Jefferson. You've drafted pieces around him. There's no patience. You've got to win while Justin Jefferson is in his prime. And you're not going to do that with a quarterback that needs a couple of years.
All right, 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. Big news, the Minnesota Vikings have fired their general manager. From the 314, you guys planning to go to any sporting events this weekend? We're going to the Blues game tomorrow.
I'll be at the Blues. This might surprise you guys, but I'm at every Blues game.
I was thinking about going to the SLU game tonight, but it's just too expensive. And credit to SLU fans for driving up those prices with their interest. But I'm not going to pay $250 to get in the door tonight.
I'm on solo dad duty, so otherwise I would have been paying for 4 tickets and taking all of my girls, and that might have been a disaster.
Yeah, I will not be at any of these sporting events this weekend.
No?
No.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. From the 618, guys, what should I get for dinner on my way home from work tonight? BK, please excuse yourself from this question. I'm not in the mood for a salad. Damn. I would say I'm the biggest foodie of the bunch is the irony here.
Yeah, but yours is like soy and stuff, so they probably want good food.
I love going to good restaurants.
Where'd they say they're coming from?
They didn't. They're from the 618.
Kind of limits us. Yeah. Just get some pizza. No, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Emo's Pizza. That's what I'm thinking.
I love me some Emo's Pizza.
Yeah. Be a St. Louisan.
I would not do that.
Be a St. Louisan.
That guy with his St. Louis shirt that he loves so much. Not getting Emo's Pizza.
I'm not a St. Louis style pizza fan. It's not for me. I think that's great that other
Go
people
back
like
to
it. Not for me.
KC. Am I right?
Pantera's is great. Have you ever had Pantera's?
Never even heard of it.
No, really good pizza. I enjoy Pantera's, but St. Louis style, not
Take
for
your
me.
word for it.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line from the 314. I think this is directed toward T-Bone. Have you guys seen the highlights from the Australian Open semis last night? First time both semis went 5 sets since the 2018 Wimbledon.
I saw that there was people were talking a lot about tennis on social media, so I didn't watch any of the matches, but I heard it was pretty intense.
Did you watch any of it last night, T-Bone?
No, I didn't. I you know what's
So much
weird?
for you being a tennis guy.
You're a poser
This
is what
one
you
of
are.
those, I mean, we've heard of athletes like this before, right? Where they play the sport, they enjoy playing the sport, and then don't like watching it. Like I knew a lot of buddies that loved playing baseball, would never go to a Cardinals game, Cubs game, even though they would claim
So
they
you're
were
Anthony
those fans.
Rendon, where you just hate the sport.
No,
I think people would be shocked by how many football players don't watch football.
Yeah.
Outside of film.
And
Like
that
a lot of college football players that I came across in my time at Mizzou don't watch the NFL.
Yeah.
At all.
I enjoyed playing tennis. I loved it when I played in high school and in college. I just don't care to watch it, right? I don't find it as entertaining as playing the sport.
Alcaraz is amazing. I did not
He's
watch
a
last
stud.
night, but I watched some of the highlights, and I did see there was a bit of a controversial injury timeout late in that one as well.
Oh, don't get me started on those.
Oh, I didn't know you have takes.
Oh, I hate the whole. People do that crap all the time in tennis, where it's something's sore and I'm going to use my injury timeout while I have no momentum and force the other guy to sit around for 5 to 10 minutes while the trainer quote unquote works on me, and then I can get all the momentum back. That's been an old school trick since the beginning of time for tennis.
All right. Well, T-Bone has strong takes. Just
Now,
didn't watch it last night.
Did I do it? Yeah, I did it. Okay.
Well, you can't complain about it
Well,
then,
everybody
man.
else was doing it, so
Well,
I would do it.
Well, then don't complain. You cheater.
It's like college football, right? I want to fix it, but I'm going to do it while the rule's there.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything from the 314. Alex, are you surprised by how many people are still going to Blues games?
No, not at all. It's always been this way. I mean, people go to Blues games, man. The entertainment factor of it, people love the Blues fans are very diehard fans, just like Cardinals fans are. Now, I know it fell off this year for Cardinals fans, but prior to this year, I mean, there's still a good amount of people coming. But for Blues, the last time I can remember the stadium being empty was back in the 05-06 season, like post-lockout where they traded away Chris Pronger. That's where fans really started like saying, yeah, we're not going to give you our business. But once Ken Hitchcock took over and that team continued to win, it's consistently a massive crowd there in St. Louis. And then just look at the hockey market itself. I mean, there's so many people, youth playing hockey, people that are a part of youth teams. Hockey is massive here in the wintertime.
From the 314, BK, if you don't like thin crust, what are your pizza spots here in St. Louis? La Pizza, I think, is very good. Louis has very good pizza on Damon, and I mentioned Pantera's we really like as well. I think Dewey's does some good stuff.
Now, let me give you the non-soy pizza here. Ferracci's Pizza, Montebello's Pizza, both places, fire. Those are the two. Biggie's, if you go by Biggie's down on the hill, they've got some incredible pizza as well. That's the good pizza. Don't eat the soy pizza.
Are any of these mozzarella, or are they all
They're
Provel?
all Provel. Okay. Well, no, that's not true. Montebello's isn't Provel.
314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort
Mine are
Service
better.
text line.
Is there soy?
I really do like normal food.
Sure you
really do.
Sure you do.
My normal eating habits are
What'd
very
you have
much.
for dinner last night?
What did you get for lunch today?
Last night we actually had crushed red. I told you we do salad
That
days.
was fun.
Yeah,
Boy,
it
the
was.
timing of that could have been better.
What'd you have for lunch today? What are you going to have for lunch today?
No, when we eat at home, I do tend to eat pretty healthy. I try to, at least. But when I go out to eat, like we like trying really good restaurants around town. It's something like that's how I spend my money for the most part, is on good food, good drinks. That's traveling. That's where we spend money. I don't buy new clothes very often, as people can probably tell by what I wear on the radio. I don't buy many other things. It's mostly food and drinks.
I spend mine on hospital bills, Disney princess outfits, and dance classes.
We spend money on
and school and daycare.
Yeah, dude, heard that.
I also don't wear new clothes.
That's not where my money goes.
314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line for Ask Us Anything. From the 314, guys, between SLU and Mizzou, who do you think would win in a game?
SLU. I don't know. I'm not
It's
sure
not even a contest.
SLU's got an identity, 3 guys that can score, and Mizzou's not great at literally anything.
SLU also has a big
They're
game.
good at some aspects of their game, but they're not great at something, you know? And, man, I would just play hack-a-shack with Mizzou the whole game. Mizzou could not beat you if you sent them to the charity stripe for the entire game.
From the 636, do you guys have any aspirations to get to the big ESPN, or was it always a dream for you to cover teams locally?
At some point in my youth, the dream was probably SportsCenter when SportsCenter was like the hot commodity. Stuart Scott, Dan Patrick, watching them on there. But by the time I got senior year in high school, freshman year of college, that's when it was play-by-play. So mine was never big ESPN. Mine was always play-by-play for a professional hockey team, essentially the Blues, but it was just doing play-by-play at the national level, and then it started to veer its course into local teams.
Yeah, I never really had the itch for the ESPN growing up, even though I watched it every morning. I knew from early on that I wanted to do play-by-play, and then I ended up finding this in college doing radio. Would I go to ESPN? Sure, I wouldn't mind going to big market. Why not? Why not go be the face of the entertainment, whatever the hell it stands for?
You should probably learn that if you want.
Yeah, this wasn't a good marketing tool for you to get there, big boy.
I've never had aspirations to do so. I really like being able to go a mile deep instead of a mile wide. And what I mean by that is, like, when you are locally covering a team, we can talk about the 26th man on the roster, and it matters to you. When you are covering sports on a more national level, you are an inch deep and a mile wide on everything. Mm-hmm. You just scratch the surface on everything. I really like being able to have conversations that are more meaningful for you. When you're listening to a national sports show, a lot of it is, the big controversies of the day or quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, we kind of cover the NFL on a national level, and that's fun. But I like covering baseball. I like covering the Blues. I like being able to talk about SLU when they matter to you locally. I like being able to have these kinds of segments where we're just talking about stuff that people can relate to, or we have the junk drawer and we can talk about our kids, or we can talk about just random stories. That stuff's not really possible to the same degree when you're doing a national show. So I've never aspired to do that stuff. Now, the paycheck's great. That would be nice. But beyond that, I like having more of a connection with a local community. That's, to me, the value of doing local sports radio, is that it is somebody that is tied into your local community, talking about the things that matter to you. And that's very different than what you hear on a national level. So it's never really been something that interests me.
I would love talking baseball at a national level. That I would enjoy.
That's why
there's only one
ESPN,
network where you can really do that.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem, though, is like there's just not many spots.
You're either a pre and post game host on one of the broadcasts,
which there's times you don't talk a whole lot of the sports either, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into pre and post.
Yeah.
Speaking for somebody that knows.
And you're a former player, you're the host.
Yeah.
That's it. Mm-hmm. Like all of the,
and the former player is the one that's doing a lot of the talking.
You're setting them up. Mm-hmm. So that's one option.
As I've seen with some former players, they stink.
Or you're on MLB Network.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's why I got away from. I wanted to do television news there for a time when I was at television sports, but I got away from it because it's like, wait a minute, like, you do all of this work, and you get 90 seconds to talk about it.
Yep.
And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. It's like, I got a lot to say. I'd like a little bit more than 90 seconds, but there's no hedging on that because sports doesn't dominate as much. So that's why I was like, well, I'm going to go to radio where I have a platform that you have more time to talk about. Because if you're going to do all of this research, all of this work, make all of these connections, and you're not going to give me you're not going to give me more than 90 seconds to work this out and talk about it, then what's the point?
Exactly.
So that's why I kind of dropped television. Now, I still pursued play-by-play with television, but I dropped the television sports reporter angle, and I wanted to go more into radio.
He's Alex. That's T-Bone. I'm BK. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Bradford Bruns back in the studio for us as we're broadcasting live at the E&B Granite Studios out of the Centene Community Ice Center in 15 minutes. Does Kyrou's recent performance change your view on trading him at this year's deadline? We'll get into that here in just a little bit. But next, the top 10 shortstops in Major League Baseball were announced yesterday by MLB Network. What's your biggest takeaway from this list? T-Bone has one that I thought was really interesting. We'll talk about it next year on 101 ESPN.
It's time for another moment in Blues history.
On this day back in 2018, the Blues would defeat the Montreal Canadiens 3-1 for their 31st win of the season. Ivan Barbashev would score .438 into the second period. Then Patrick Berglund on the power play in the third, and Alex Steen's shorthanded empty net goal before the end of regulation. And picking up the victory, Carter Hutton stopping 33 of 34 shots.
This date in Blues history is powered by Classic Air Care.
Make your life more comfortable for all your HVAC, plumbing, and electrical needs. ClassicAirCare.com.
blues talk, check out the Last Minute Blues podcast with Alex Ferrario, Donnie Fandango, and Jeremy Rutherford on 101 ESPN. The guys bring you the latest news and nuggets on your St. Louis Blues.
The Last Minute Blues podcast is presented by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for free inspection. Watch or listen to the Last Minute Blues podcast now on our YouTube channel or at 101ESPN.com.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Alongside Alex and T1, I'm BK. So we've had a lot of conversations about MLB Network's lists of the top 10 players at different positions, top 100 players overall. They continued with their lists yesterday. They put out their top 10 shortstops across the league. Number 1 was Bobby Witt Jr. Number 2, Corey Seager. Number 3, Francisco Lindor. Those guys are all legit superstar talents, but it continued from there. Gunnar Henderson, Mookie Betts, who occasionally decides to masquerade as a shortstop. Number 6, Geraldo Perdomo, who some believe would be a disappointment for J.J. Weatherholt, a 6th overall shortstop in all of Major League Baseball. Interesting.
Cool. Congrats on your 1 year as a 4th MVP. Again, I'll say what I said before because I know what you said there. When he does it 2 more years, then I'll change my tune.
Number 7, Trey Turner. Number 8, Jeremy Pena. Number 9, Ellie De La Cruz, who there's a lot of talk he might have to move.
Just a reminder, first off, of how unbelievably deep the position of shortstop is. It is kind of the pillar for what a lot of teams are building around now is make sure that you have that elite offensive shortstop. And I preference by saying this. I don't think Mason Wynn has to become a guy that becomes an MVP candidate. But if you're going to have him as part of the pieces that you want to build around, he's going to have to pick up his game offensively. He cannot just be a defensive specialist at shortstop. He's going to have to become a guy that is a Gold Glove caliber shortstop, which he already is, but bump up his offense to where I think he probably needs to settle in around like 10-15% above league average. And if he can do that, then I think he's a piece you can build around. But if he doesn't, I'm not sure that he is. I don't think the shortstop position can no longer be viewed as one where you say, you know, we're going to go with the defensive specialist here and we'll build around the rest of
His stance a little bit here.
No, I think, like, my view of this would be like core pieces to me are the ones you don't let out the building, right? Herrera, if he becomes a stud, where's the Cardinals bat till he retires, right? I don't necessarily view Mason Wynn of that caliber yet, and I'm not giving up on Mason Wynn by any means. I think Wynn's a decent baseball player. But for me, him to be like the everyday shortstop for the Cardinals when they are back at their like peak of contending, not like the years where they're building into the playoffs, you know, he's going to have to be more than a 10% below league average hitter and a guy that's just a Gold Glove shortstop.
Sure. Earlier today, I think we had the conversation and you said you have to get rid of him. Like he's not a guy that you can have on the team if he's less than 10% above league average offensively, right?
Yeah, and I think that what I meant by that is like playing out the string with Mason Wynn, right? Or eventually looking for a guy to improve upon, right? Like I think that's where he potentially could fall to where when you're starting to win again, you're looking, okay, where do we upgrade the roster? The answer could potentially eventually become Mason Wynn.
But what if the scenario is you've got 2 other guys that are that elite bat, and he's not an elite bat.
Exactly.
He's a 10% below league average, and he's Gold Glove defense for you. Well, let's say in a hypothetical world I'm painting for you, Ivan Herrera becomes that superstar bat. He's playing catcher. You acquire Las Montes because, of course, I'm going to put that out there. He becomes a superstar bat for you. So you got 2 guys, 30-plus home runs. These are the middle of the order bats. And Mason Wynn is still 10% below league average, but he is Gold Glove every single year for you. You'd still move on?
I think he's still a guy you're considering upgrading from. Yeah.
Even if you've got really good pieces that are like, if that's the worst bat in your lineup.
Like, the reason I say that is like, who's the contender that doesn't have this great shortstop?
I just don't think that it has to be so rigid and that I have to get that performance from the shortstop position. I can get that performance elsewhere. Some of these teams that we're talking about, yes, they're getting that production from the shortstop position. But if I just played like the Dodgers, they have that, technically speaking, at shortstop. They almost always move him to either second or right field.
I was going to say.
So like Tommy Edmonds playing shortstop for them.
Tommy have a shortstop.
Is the same offensive player as Mason Wynn once they get to the playoffs.
Look at the Diamondbacks. They got an average shortstop there.
Sure.
He just had one good year.
He made the top 10, okay?
My point is, I don't care where you get the production. I care that you get the production.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have this version of Mason Wynn and he's playing shortstop for you, and I have those same levels of production, like if I get Francisco Lindor or Trey Turner or Corey Seager level production out of second base or left field or center field, I don't care where I get it. It's about my lineup, not what position those guys are standing at when I'm on the defensive side of the ball. So I think Mason Wynn can absolutely be a core member of this team without becoming, Francisco Lindor or Bobby Witt Jr. If he's a guy that consistently hits 260 for you, gets on base at a fine clip, hits for a little bit of pop, but really is like a 20 stolen base guy and continues to produce defensively the way that he is, dude, that guy can be my shortstop for the next decade, and I feel really good about it.
Yes, he can, as long as you do it properly, that you have bats that are more – if that what you just said is forced to be your top 5 bats, then you're not going to winning team.
Agreed.
He needs to be bottom 3 in terms of your offense if those are the numbers. Still a really good player, but I'm not relying on him to do anything other than be incredible defensively and come up with big hits every once in a while.
Sure, for a contender, he should probably bat like 7th.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think that's fine. But where I had the disagreement with T-Bone before the show today was the idea that you can't build around this guy because of his position. I wildly disagree with that. I think that his defense is so valuable at shortstop that it allows him to stay in the lineup despite some of the deficiencies as an offensive contributor. There is still upside for him offensively. Like Jeremy Pena would be the player that I would point to. Jeremy Pena had never shown the kind of offensive upside that he was this year. This season, he put it all together. His first 3 years, almost exactly league average offensively. This year, finally it came together when healthy out there, and he became 30% above league average and 840 OPS. What was the difference? Hit the ball a little harder, had a little bit of batted ball luck. That's pretty much it. Hit for a little bit more power, and that was his awesome season. I don't think he's going to be that player moving forward. I think he's a lot closer to what he was in the first 3 years of his major league career than what he was last year. And I think he's a guy that the Astros can and should build around because he's so good defensively. And he's a huge piece of what they're doing. They also have Yordan Alvarez as a part of their lineup, though. Like, when you have those other huge offensive contributors, they change what is required from some of these positions.
If this is an either-or conversation, then you're right, T-Bone. They have to move on because it's not a guy that you can win with. But I'm not banking on it as an either-or. I'm banking it on you're going to strike with some of these other pieces that you believe are going to be power bats, and you're looking at Mason Wynn as the piece in the middle of the lineup that makes this roster go, makes this roster stay competitive because you've got that elite defense at a shortstop position. And much like you did with Yadier Molina, who I know his bat got better as you went along, but for the early portion of Yadi's career, it was set it and forget it. We don't have to worry about our catcher position.
Yeah, I think for Wynn to be a guy that, like, to me continues, again, I agree that, like, what you're saying, he's never going to be a guy that hits top 5 in your lineup, but I think you still have to be a above league average hitter to remain a part of the team moving forward when you get to that next window. Like, I think if he could be like Neto with less power, I think that'd be a success. Because Neto's not like an extremely great player. He's like 15% above league average is what he settled in at. And he's slightly above 20 homer season. I think that's what you hope Mason Wynn becomes. And that's still a guy that you would hit lower in your order, gives you that gold glove level defense. My conversation was more of like, we've had conversations in the past, is Wynn a contract extension candidate? And when I thought about, like, when you said, like, what do you see this with Wynn? I just see him as a guy that continues to play through the string of the arbitration years when you get there and maybe doesn't even have anything beyond St. Louis from that standpoint. That's what I was coming from when we had that conversation, because to me, for him to be a Cardinal for the next winning window and be locked into it, he has to become a above league average. They're like 10 to 15% above that.
Yeah, maybe. The Braves won the World Series with Dansby Swanson at shortstop. And Dansby Swanson was basically offensively what you've seen so far from Mason Wynn.
And we didn't want to pay Dansby Swanson in free agency.
I wouldn't have. Not if it's going to cost you $25+ million a year. And we can have that conversation when we get there about Mason Wynn.
I'm not giving anybody an extension
right now. What the value is of him as a shortstop. But can you win with him as your shortstop? Yeah, hell yeah, man. even if he never produces anything more offensively, even if he just remains a league average hitter, it just requires you to produce elsewhere.
Yeah, it's just harder.
That's all. Yeah, sure.
It's harder to win with that type of shortstop.
It puts more pressure on you at other positions.
Mm-hmm.
I think having his defense, I think you're underselling that. I think the defense that he brings at the shortstop position is incredibly valuable. And then it means that you need offense from the corners. You need offense from first, from third, and then the corner outfield positions. The Cardinals' biggest issue in recent seasons, in my opinion at least, has been their complete inability to get offense from the corner outfield positions. And that is where they are way further behind offensively than what you're getting from shortstop or really any of the infield spots right now. If you can fix that in the outfield, I think it alleviates a lot of that pressure on guys like Mason Wynn, Victor Scott, wherever else you have a defense first place player moving forward. All right, coming up in about 15 minutes or so, we're going to dive into the junk drawer, but next, Jordan Kyrou has been great lately. In the words of Mike McKenna, he looks like a player possessed on the ice. Is it changing your opinion on trading him at this year's deadline or the offseason? We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN.
ESPN has your shot to score 2 tickets to the Sunset Hills Subaru Blues Alumni Experience at Mardi Gras, Saturday, February 14th in Soulard. The Blues Alumni Experience puts you in a heated tent right on the parade route with premium drinks, great food, live music, and most importantly, meet and greets with St. Louis Blues legends. Find all the ticket info and enter to win free passes to the Sunset Hills Subaru Blues Alumni Experience at Mardi Gras at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 app. 101 ESPN Sports Center.
Blues snap 5-game skid. Good afternoon. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. January has not been kind to Jim Montgomery's club, but last night offered optimism aplenty. St. Louis beating the reigning champion Florida Panthers 5-4. Jordan Kyrou posting a 3-point performance. He will aim for more success against Columbus tomorrow. Puck drop set for 6 p.m. on 101 ESPN. This evening, number 21 Slew owns that downtown stage. Perennial A-10 stalwart Dayton has lost 3 straight, including Tuesday's overtime heartbreaker against Rhode Island. Your Sports Center update was presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
Broadcasting live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
All right, what's going on with Jordan Kyrou? He looks amazing.
Man on a mission.
To be traded.
Is it changing your view of what his future should be here in St. Louis, Alex?
No. It's not. And I hate saying this because, I mean, the guy is playing incredible right now. But we can't forget what it looked like the first 3 months of the season. And it's not just this year. I brought this up to you guys before. The last 4 seasons at the end of December, this has been a 500 hockey team. And he has been a part of it. Now, it's not all on him. Robert Thomas is a part of it. Pavel Buchnevich is a part of it. The core is a part of it. But if you go through the options, I don't think anybody has a taste to get rid of Robert Thomas. And I see what people are saying is like, oh, I think you should look into the fact that they're playing better without Robert Thomas.
Maybe you should, Alex.
Maybe you should.
True.
Maybe we should also look at the fact that typically when
which is odd.
Oh God, just please stop it already. I'm not going to get into this. Maybe we should also look at the fact that when teams usually lose some of their better players, they play a simpler brand of hockey. So however you want to view that, it's also a center. It's also 26 years old. And we've had these conversations. Those don't grow on trees. The other one is Pavel Buchnevich. And as great as he's been playing, I don't think there's an appetite for him in the trade market. There is an appetite for Jordan Kyrou. And you have a lot of wingers on this team. I mean, go through the list. Ask yourself, Kyrou or Snuggerud, yes or no?
I'll give you the name, Snuggie.
Yeah, not yes or no. Snuggie.
That would make a lot more sense. I'm going to do numbers on this the rest of the way for you. 25 or 63. Kyrou or Neighbors?
I like Kyrou better, but...
Okay, but if you're building a team...
Kyrou.
I would disagree.
So let me...
Neighbors' biggest guy is what he does in the locker room. He's good, he's good on player.
About this through the prism of what the Blues are right now, where they're at in their build. Jake Neighbors is 23. He is $3.5 million as opposed to Jordan Kyrou, who's $8 million. So you're younger and you're cheaper and you're able to build for the future. So I would say Neighbors for all of those reasons. I do think Kyrou is the better overall player.
Agreed. But if you're building a team, you need identities like Jake Neighbors to get you there. And Holloway, you'd put into this one. I think a lot of people would go Holloway because he's younger. And then you go from what they have in their system of an Otto Stenberg, of a Carbonneau. These guys are younger. So as much as I think Jordan Kyrou is a difference maker, and he is playing like a possessed player right now, I also can remember that Jordan Kyrou goes through spurts where you don't see him. And you're a team that can't do that anymore. You're a team that needs consistency. And I think the market sees Jordan Kyrou as a piece that they would pay a hefty price for. It's the probably healthiest way to turn your organization around if you move Jordan Kyrou.
I agree. I completely agree. And I would say I've been one of Kyrou's staunchest supporters here in St. Louis. I don't think this means that Kyrou is a bad player. No. It's the same kind of conversation that we had in the past when I said, hey, the Blues should trade Oscar Sundqvist, or the Blues should trade Ivan Barbashev. That doesn't mean these guys are bad players. It means that sometimes your roster has to go in a different direction. The Blues need a pivot, and they need to figure out how they're able to maximize their current roster, because what they're doing right now is not working. Basically, 4 of the last 5 years, they've underwhelmed. Kyrou's been a big part of that. And I think he can go on to have a lot of success elsewhere. He goes to the right situation. 30-goal scorer, a guy that is a second-line winger, takes advantage of his matchups, 70-plus points every season, and you look back, you're like, hot damn, man, that guy is really good on a contender. For this team, though, for what they need, which is for him to be a top-line player making $8 million a year, their leading scorer, all of those different things, I don't think he fits that role here right now, and I think they need to reset what the roster looks like. So if that's at this year's deadline or the offseason, I'm really happy that he's playing well again. Yeah. It's good for the Blues. It's good for other teams to see the value that he can still bring to the table. I just don't think that his future is going to be here. Yeah.
You're not in a position. If you were to tell me that Jordan Kyrou has figured it out and now you're going to get this consistent player for 82 plus games, then I'd really have those conversations of like, well, then you don't need to move on from him, because that's a piece that you can win with. But after 4 seasons of inconsistency, I can't rely on that. And the team needs some type of jolt. The team needs, what are those things called where you just clear?
Oh, the paddles?
They need those. They need those paddles. And unfortunately, Kyrou is kind of the odd man out in that one, because if Jordan Kyrou played the position that Robert Thomas played, I'd be having a very different conversation, and Thomas might be the one we're talking about, because wingers aren't centers. And the winger of Kyrou and Buch, sure, if you gave me those two, I'd probably lean towards Pavel Buchnevich. But I don't know if there's an appetite for that around the National Hockey League.
There's not. If you're trading Buch, though,
you're paying for him to go away.
Yeah,
and that doesn't benefit you.
Is you're trying to get as much of the money off of your books as possible.
Yes.
Also improving from what you're getting in return.
What do you mean?
I would say like the goal of
you're getting better pieces for Kyrou than Buch.
While Buch, you're just kind of dumping at that point. I don't think
I was talking about Buch. Yeah. If you're trading Pavel Buchnevich, you're not getting a real prospect in return. You're probably getting a whole lot of nothing. In fact, this is kind of similar to what they were trying, or what they ended up doing with Kevin Hayes, where they had to trade a draft pick with him to be able to move on.
Still magic that they were able to accomplish with that, of getting that pick back and then, still getting Broberg and Holloway.
That's the kind of thing you'd have to do with Buch.
And that's
not worth $8 million.
And that's why I look at Kyrou and I say, like, how are you trying to build this? Like, if you project that this team's going to be selecting a difference maker winger at the 2nd or 3rd overall pick, he's younger. All of these wingers that you have in your organization at the NHL and the AHL and juniors level, all of these guys are wingers. You are desperate to fix your defense, and you're desperate to fix your center depth. So Kyrou, unfortunately, might be the piece that gets that for you, and then you replace Kyrou's production. It might be a step back for 2 years, but you replace Kyrou's production with guys like Carbonneau and Stenberg and the guy that you draft with a high pick that fills that void so that you can try and move this thing forward faster.
Honestly, if we're doing the comparison to the Cardinals thing, Buch is your version of Arenado.
Yeah.
And Kyrou is your version of Donnie.
Yeah.
Where, do I want to trade Brendan Donovan? No, but it's about roster construction. It's about maximizing your asset value and figuring out when is the best time to make this move. If you're going to do it, the move for Brendan Donovan is probably right now. If you're going to do it with Jordan Kyrou, the time to do so is either this year's trade deadline or in the offseason. That is the thing to me, Alex, that I do find to be a little bit tricky about this kind of a trade. Can you do it at the deadline? Yes, it is possible. There are some hoops that you'd have to jump through, though, because of the money and because of the no trade clause. So if you're another team, you either need that cap space to be ready to go because of LTIR or whatever else, and then you also, if you're not in that situation, you have to send money back to the Blues, and then the Blues have to be willing to take on that contract. They've got to be able to make it work into their future plans. So it is a little easier because teams will have money that falls off of the books, plus their cap is exploding next year. It's easier to make this move in the offseason, and you would probably have more potential suitors this offseason.
Yeah.
But at the deadline, you might have desperate teams. So that's where you have to weigh it if you're Doug Armstrong. What's more valuable for us? Is it the teams that are trying to win this year that want Jordan Kyrou to be a part of that push for this playoff run? Or is it more valuable to wait until the offseason where we have 10 or 12 teams that can fit him into their cap, and then we've got all of them bidding against one another? I don't know.
And that's, you're just going to have to wait to see who's out there and who wants him now, because, like, do teams get desperate enough to get him now? I think if a team is trading for Jordan Kyrou, they're sending a piece that, for the Blues, is either right onto the NHL roster or will be on the NHL roster next year. I don't think it's something that they're going to have to wait 2 to 3 years to get, because the other team realizes even if he has been underwhelming this season or underwhelming the last couple of seasons, they see what the potential is, and that's where a team can go. I truly think that if Kyrou plays this way up until the deadline, there will be a team that sees him and says he's playing well now. We're in a position that's trying to outpace the other teams around us, and we're going to get him for the next 5-6 years, whatever his contract is. Why not chase the cup with him now and then continue to try and chase it? But the question is going to be, will teams have the cap space to do that and have the necessary assets to send to the Blues that they're willing to swallow that return?
From the 573, no way you move Kyrou. He's too cheap for the production that he provides. He's proven that he can score. We don't have to dump contracts. Just trade Justin Falk, trade Jordan Binnington, just so we can lose and then get a top draft pick.
This has nothing to do with losing more to get a top draft pick and trading Kyrou, and everything to do with being a 500 team for the last 4 seasons and having a 1-month hot stretch to make yourself look like a team that's in the playoffs.
Yep. This team needs a change. They need a jolt to the system, and the best way to do it is by trading Jordan Kyrou. I don't take joy in saying that. I thought we were done with this on July 1st. I thought that was it. I thought we would not have to talk about trading Jordan Kyrou anymore, because finally we got to the no trade clause as part of his contract, and the Blues had made their decision and he's a part of this thing. But then the Blues sucked for 4 months. And the reality of this situation that they're in is what you guys stated. For 4 years you've been bad, and for 2 months you were good. What's the plan? How do we get good again? There's a lot of teams across the NHL that have been through this. The Blues really haven't for a while. So now you've got to figure it out. What is the path forward? How do we get back into contention? And to me, one of the pieces that could be used to help you get back into contention would be Jordan Kyrou. It A, brings back that assets, and B, opens up all of that cap space where you could then use that to go acquire another player in the future. Like maybe the assets you get for Jordan Kyrou, you then flip to go get a star. Maybe William Nylander becomes available this offseason. You're like, you know what? That's the guy we're targeting. We want him to be our top-line winger. We want to build around William Nylander on one wing with Ivar Stenberg on the other wing, and Robert Thomas as our center.
It's just funny that you think a Craig Berube coached team would want to trade for that.
What do you mean?
Well, Craig Berube's with Toronto. Kyrou for Nylander.
No. I'm saying you're trading Kyrou at the deadline for assets.
Gotcha. And then those assets
you're
go.
then getting into the offseason.
Gotcha.
The Maple Leafs say, we've got to overhaul this thing. We fired Craig Berube, which might happen. They're a disaster. And now we are going to canvass the league for the best return possible. And the Blues have made all these trades at the deadline, so they're loaded for bear. They're ready to go. And they say, here's what we've got, all of these young prospects, picks, whatever. They trade it to the Maple Leafs. Maple Leafs in return give the Blues William Nylander. This is just an example, just pulling one player out of thin air. And now you've got a top line that includes Robert Thomas, William Nylander, and the number 1 overall selection in Ivar Stenberg.
Yeah.
You know, like that really changes the look of your team moving forward.
Well, at work, we have no idea, but it's something, right? At this point, you can afford to kind of shuffle the chairs around and see what happens.
And this is what you got to do. You banked on a guy that doesn't, as great as he's playing, it has not been the core piece that excels your team forward. And you know what you do when you feel like you've got other pieces that should be moving forward? You shuffle the chairs around and see if you strike on another guy. There have been teams, for example, and this might be some homework for me to do over the weekend for next week, of teams that just shuffle it around and bring in a new face, and that new face actually clicks with the team he's on, and they go on a run. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes guys that don't hit their potential with another team when a trade happens. I don't know if it's going to go down that path. Frankly, maybe nobody's willing to pay what Kyrou's price is, and they just sit there and keep Jordan Kyrou. The other thing that I heard Greg Wyshynski bring up with Jeff Merrick yesterday of the palette of teams taking on Jordan Kyrou, this is the highest salary that he is making this season. I think it's like
Cash-wise.
Cash-wise, yeah. All the AAV's the same, but cash-wise, he's making like $10 million this year. Next year, it's like 6.2, and then it goes lower than that. So I wish it wasn't into this situation. I wish Kyrou has clicked and played 82 games the way that we're seeing him play for the last 5 to 7 games. But you've just underwhelmed for too long to sit here and say, well, we're going to run it back with the same guys because you know what? We think they'll be better next year.
Coming up next, the junk drawer here on 101 ESPN.
St. Louis Blues hockey can be heard exclusively on 101 ESPN. Get the info you need before and after every Blues game with a First Community pre- and post-game show. First Community Credit Union.
Take your best shot with First Community and presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company.
Kansas and BYU. Pregame at 1:45, tip-off at 2. The NCAA plays on 101 ESPN. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's open it up. The Junk Drawer with BK and Ferrario.
Catherine O'Hara has passed away at the age of 71 years old. She is probably most remembered, Alex, as Kate McAllister from Home Alone. But for me, I actually most remember her from her character on Schitt's Creek, which was one of my favorite personal TV shows. T-Bone, have you ever seen Schitt's Creek before?
Oh, my God.
I only know her from Home Alone.
Katie just started rewatching it last week because she wanted something to watch that makes her laugh. And I mean, I've never seen, my wife laughs at the most odd crap. Like, we'll watch a movie and something happens. It's like, this is hilarious. And she doesn't laugh. And then like somebody blows their nose and they miss the tissue and she starts gut laughing. I'm like, what are you doing? Schitt's Creek, she laughed so hard at.
Moira Rose, her character in Schitt's Creek, is one of my favorite characters from television.
Oh, yeah. The scene where they're trying to fold the cheese. Oh, my God.
It's amazing. And she's perfect. It's an unbelievable TV show. And so for me, that's what I'm always going to remember her for. But, man, 71 years old, passed away just a little bit ago.
Yeah, she was, before she got famous with Home Alone, she was big improv. Her and Eugene Levy were a part of the same improv group. And I think there was something that they were a part of Best in Show or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I know her more from Schitt's Creek because it's what I watched recently, but like with Home Alone, and she was in Beetlejuice as well. Yeah. She was the mom in Beetlejuice. So she just always had those roles as like a comedy mom or something. And it just, God, it always hit. So this is crazy because 71 years old is not old, but I just told you guys, I saw a picture of her recently, and I mean, she just looks decrepit, and it's like, man, I wonder what she was suffering from.
If anything, we don't know.
That's crazy, man.
Don't want to speculate on anything there, but she is one of those people that like legendary roles that people will always forever associate with her. And when you get into that kind of a business, that's the number one thing you want is for, you to leave a lasting memory, a lasting legacy of something that you put into the world art-wise. Yeah. That ultimately, even long after your passing, people will still continue to watch it. Mentioned this to you guys. Home Alone was produced in 1990. Think about that. Like, T-Bone was not born yet. Home Alone came out, and it is still one of those movies that a lot of people around Christmas time will just put on TV. Yep. Every year, it's an annual tradition for so many people as one of those movies. It's part of your holiday season.
Yeah. If you want to make success, make a Christmas movie because it's going to be played every year. Yeah, no, a good one, not a Hallmark one. Was there an actor or an actress that passed away that kind of like just gut-wrenched you in terms of their passing? Mine was Robin Williams. When he passed, like that killed me a little bit for a couple of days because it was just grew up with him. I still I got a coffee mug of the genie. It's like one of my favorite characters from any film. That was one that like really tugged at my heartstrings when they lost him.
The Chadwick Boseman one, just because it was so surprising.
Yeah.
Would have probably been that for me. That would probably be the number one thing that comes to
when Bill Murray or Sylvester Stallone go. Hopefully not for a very long time. Those are going to be two that's like, oh, God. I'm not going to be able to handle those two.
It's one of those things. I don't know how to really say this otherwise, but I don't have the same personal attachment to that stuff. Like when I have lost in my life on a personal level, like I lost my grandpa, lost a good friend in Therese Paylor who passed away at a very young age. Like that stuff really affects me. But when I don't have the same personal connection with somebody, I don't know if it's a problem with me or whatever, but just if we're doing the whole like psychology side of things, like this sucks. Don't get me wrong.
It's a different
it doesn't like
It's a
break
different
me in
type
any
of,
way. It just makes me think about the stuff that they produced that impacted me in some way.
Well, and that's just it. It's a different type of emotional attachment. Like, it's not the same as like losing a family member or a friend. That's a different type of emotional attachment. But like for certain individuals, their art that they created shaped me into who I am. And so it's like like I spend so much time watching their material. Like Robin Williams, I loved his stand-up. I still watch his stand-up to this day when you need a good laugh. And it's like, you think about it and it's like, I spent so much time watching that. And then it's like, oh, geez, it's like that. Now I don't have that guy anymore. You don't have any new material coming from him. So it's just an emotional attachment that you don't think about until they're gone. And it's like, oh my gosh.
Mahomes Longbody said, for me, it's not an actor-actress, but when we lost Kobe, that one hit me really hard.
Yep, I get that.
That one was surprising to me, too. I was in college, remember that.
We were on the air. I don't know if you were back yet or not, but it was me, Smallman, and Stalter. Yeah. We were on the air it happened overnight, so the next morning we were talking about it.
No, it was in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Oh, so it must have been when we were on the air then, because I remember
I went out to get lunch for, I think it was me and my roommates, and I came back, and one of my roommates said, Kobe died. And I went, no way, right? He was like, I think he'd only been retired for like 3 years or something like that.
Wasn't it a weekend?
I thought it was a weekend because we weren't on the air when it happened. It was when we came back and did the show.
Yeah, I think it was a weekend when that happened, if I remember correctly. Because I remember being at home and I woke up. I can't remember if it was like from a nap or that morning, whatever it was. And I looked at my phone and it said that Kobe had passed away. And I was like, what? This is that? No way. Like, what? I didn't even believe it. It just felt like it had to be something that was one of those news stories that gets out and somebody has been punked or whatever, right? And then, you see it more and more and you're like, oh my God, that's crazy. But yeah, that was right before I moved back here from Kansas City. So yeah, just crazy news. That one was one of those.
Somebody said, did BK just admit of being having any feelings and being heartless? No, I just think he doesn't have any feelings and heartless towards actors or actresses.
I'm kind of with him. I don't really
it's a different type of emotional attachment.
I don't really know how to describe it, but like I see so many of these. I'll just go ahead and get into this. I see so many of these Facebook posts where, and hey man, grieve however you want to. This is not me like trying to say you shouldn't do this, but I can't relate to it. Like when a celebrity passes away, you see all of these Facebook posts of like, oh my God, this is devastating, all of these different things. And like, I don't feel that same emotional connection.
Yeah. And that's totally, I mean, I think that's fair. A lot of people have that.
When I have somebody in my own life that passes, absolutely I feel that way. I don't typically share it the same way, but like I feel those same thoughts. But if I've never met somebody and they pass, it sucks. And I go back through, like when Kobe passed, I watched a bunch of highlights, I watched videos and stuff like that, but it's not something that I feel it in my core.
It's not that you're it's not you're grieving differently. Like if you lose somebody that's a family or a friend, like there's a grieving process where it's like you just don't want to be around. You emotionally can't handle it. Like when Robin Williams was the example, like for me, you see that and it's like, are you kidding me? It's like, man, I hate this. Like you're not going to get anything else from, and then you spend time grieving, like watching all of their stuff because it's that type of emotional attachment. So yeah, I mean, they're very different. And some people just have a higher emotional attachment to it, but I don't think there's anything weird or different about that. Some people just don't have that attachment to certain people. And it's not a lot. Believe me, there's only a few actors, actresses, celebrities that have that to where it was like, that was a core shape of my life that you just have that emotional pull to, that if they're not here anymore, you start thinking about it.
Man, didn't think this was the direction that our show was going to go, but here we are. It's
Sometimes
Friday.
I ask good questions, man. You get good conversation.
Ferrario. Coming up in about 15
minutes. Can't do that on ESPN, the Entertainment Sports Production Network or something like that, right, T-Bone?
Sure.
In 15 minutes, we'll get into one's got to go. You give us 4 options. We'll tell you which one's got to go here on BK and Ferrario. But coming up next, the Zips projection. Sure don't see a whole lot of difference in the Cardinals' outlook for 2026 compared to what they were in 2025. We'll get into that next year on 101 ESPN.
You have got to take the upper hand in all situations, or people, whether they're dead or alive, will walk all over you.
101 ESPN has your shot to score a signed puck autographed by Blues forward Alexei Toropchenko.
Toropchenko drives the middle of the ice, shoots it up, scores! Alexei Toropchenko!
Enter to win that Alexei Toropchenko signed puck right now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 app powered by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers.
Vehicles priced under $20,000. Payments below $300 a month.
WXOS, WXOS HD1 East St. Louis. 101 ESPN is driven by Auto Centers Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty and 30-day return. Live from the Centene Community Ice Center inside the E&B Granite Studios, you're tuned into BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmers Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN.
Ooh, I've got the Zips projections, Alex.
Zip. That'll wake you up if you're driving home.
The Chicago Cubs projected to win the NL Central with 87 wins this year.
Oh, yeah, it's so the NL Central.
Cardinals will have what?
Milwaukee Brewers
72?
one game back with 86 victories. The Cincinnati Reds in third with 78 wins.
Jesus.
The Pittsburgh Pirates bringing up the rear with 74. The Cardinals fourth in the division with 77 wins, according to Fangraphs Zips projections, Alex. Their 80th percentile outcome for the Cardinals, 84 wins this year. Their 20th percentile outcome for the team is 70. So they think somewhere in that 70 to 84 range, with the median outcome being 77 wins, is roughly where the Cardinals will ultimately wind up this year.
Yeah. I was thinking about 75. 75 is my sweet spot, with the potential of maybe 78 to 80.
The Cardinals over the last three seasons, 71, 83, 78 wins. That is while spending 3 times as much as they're expected to spend this year, twice as much as they're expected to spend this year. Do you guys think the Cardinals are going to be meaningfully worse this season than they have been over the last few years?
Yeah, I think there's a chance.
Because those projections would suggest they're right in line with what they've been.
And those projections, I would imagine, have Brendan Donovan still on the team?
As of today, yes.
Yeah. And that does, in my opinion, take a few wins out of the conversation. There's a chance that it goes well if players develop for them. But I do see a bigger scenario to where it's probably like 70 wins or fewer if this pitching does not go as accordingly, to where Liberatore doesn't take the necessary steps. Dustin May's not as good as you thought he was going to be. McGreevy struggles. Palante struggles. Now you're diving deeper into your depth where guys might not be ready. You don't want to force it. So, yeah, I think pitching could be the reason that this could be a little worse than they're projecting it to be.
Yeah, I think there's a chance they are significantly worse. And the main concern that I have is pitching. I think pitching, they could end up being about what they were last year, where the rotation, it's newer names, but a lot of these guys don't have a ton of swing and miss. And May, if he doesn't bounce back, like it's probably just going to end up being what it was last year. My concern is the offense, because the offense wasn't great last year. And you just traded away some of your biggest pieces, right? You just traded away a Contreras. You're potentially going to be trading away a Brendan Donovan. They were 19th in runs scored last year. I think by moving on from Contreras, the power's lacking in that lineup, and I expect it's going to lack even more without Contreras. I could see where they end up being a potentially bottom 5 offense next year. And if that's the case on top of pitching that is similar to last year, yeah, they would be significantly worse in my opinion.
See, I think their pitching could be every bit as good as it was last year. I don't really see a massive drop-off coming in that area. Like Miles Michaelis had a 4.80 ERA, and everybody wanted him off the team last year. They immediately got better upon getting rid of Eric Fetty last year anyways, and we talked after getting rid of him about could this team have potentially made the playoffs if they just got rid of Eric Fetty a few weeks earlier than what they ultimately did. So I don't have a whole lot of concerns about that. And then Sonny Gray, he had a 4.3 ERA last year. He was clearly their best pitcher last season, no doubt, but he had a 4.3 ERA. That's not impossible to replace. It was the same ERA as Matthew Liberatore had for the Cardinals last year. So could Libby just replace him, or could Michael McGreevy just replace his production in terms of the overall ERA number? Yeah, I could see Michael McGreevy this season giving the Cardinals 180 innings with a 4.3 ERA. I don't think that would be shocking to anybody. The offense, they've basically, at this point in time, let's assume right now that Brendan Donovan is back, regardless of how we feel about that. Let's assume he's back this season. They have effectively just gotten rid of Wilson Contreras. That's kind of it. I mean, you look back at it last year.
Shots at Nolan Arenado.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I think they'll be better at third base offensively this year than they were last year by replacing Nolan Arenado with J.J. Weatherholtz. And I think overall you will have better third base play this year if that's the plan. And I'm talking offense plus defense. I think you will finish the season with a higher wins above replacement from J.J. Weatherholt than you did last year from Nolan Arenado. I think he'll be a better player. Ivan Herrera only played at 100 games at the big league level last year. Do I think he can basically just replace the offense that you're losing from Wilson Contreras? Yeah, pretty much. Do I think you could end up getting a better season this year out of Brendan Donovan by playing more often than he did a year ago? Yeah, probably. And then you basically just need one other player to take a step forward. So can they be better than they were a year ago? I don't think that's a crazy thing to believe at all, guys. I really don't. And that's not to suggest they're going to make the playoffs or they're going to be this world beater. They won 78 games. It's not a high bar to be able to clear. And that's why I wanted to bring these up today, is because I'm happy to see that I'm not alone in this regard. I'm not completely off my rocker. There are also some neutral third-party observers that see them as basically the exact same team as they were a year ago with a 77-win projection when last year they won 77.
Yeah, see, I guess the thing that I have a tough time figuring out is who is replacing the Donovan Contreras production, because I'm not expecting Weatherholt to be even the Donovan production, right? Like,
I mentioned, like, I know Donnie's back.
I know. But what the reason I bring that up is, like, I wanted to get to Weatherholt as kind of my point there. Is I'm not sure I'm expecting Weatherholt to be a 19 to 23% above league average player, which is what Donnie and Contreras were. So whether it is Contreras is the one you're looking to replace offensively, or it ends up becoming both, my expectation for Weatherholt is he's like 5% above league average, which is good, but that's still a downgrade from the one or two pieces that you lose. And maybe Burley or Herrera does end up kind of picking up that slack. But I would just say, like, okay, I'm just sticking with let's expect them to be what they were last year. And then who's replacing that loss of, even if it is just Contreras, because I don't know if I see that guy coming on the roster. Okay. And that's why I think the offense would be worse, in my opinion.
I think we're not talking about the floor enough. And what I mean by that is last year you had such a huge drag on this offense by starting Pedro Pajes 112 times and giving him 400 plate appearances as a 25% below league average hitter. Starting Victor Scott every day when he was 25% below league average offensively. Starting Jordan Walker 2 out of every 3 days when he was 35% below league average offensively last year. So as much as we're talking about the best player from the offense that is now going elsewhere with Wilson Contreras, and that is going to be some significant shoes to fill. I'm not trying to completely write that off. It is. I think every bit as big of a deal is getting a slight uptick in offense from those other positions. And that's requiring a lot. Like, you need Jordan Walker to take that next step, or for somebody else to take that spot in your lineup. You need Victor Scott to just not be like one of the worst everyday hitters in Major League Baseball.
10% below league average.
Yeah, it's not a high bar to clear. Can you get on base more than 30% of the time? That's it. That's all you're asking for from Victor Scott II, which feels very possible. And then, hey, can we get one of the other catchers to fill in for Pedro Pajes and play more often, so that way you don't have a black hole behind the plate offensively? And if you do those things, now you've replaced the Wilson Contreras production, not because you replaced his production, but because you eliminated some of these black holes that were batting 7 through 9 for you last year, where you'd come up in one inning and you'd be like, all right, well, if I'm at the baseball game, I don't even have to sit in my seat because I know how this is going to go. And 3 pitches, we're out of the inning, right? Like, I don't even have to worry about it. That should, hopefully, look quite different this season than it did a year ago. No guarantees, but that's another route to becoming a better team than you were last year.
Yeah, and I guess I've become Alex kind of here. I'm skeptical that we're seeing those steps from some of those guys. Like Scott, I'm not sure I see. Walker, I really don't see. Wynn is one that I could see seeing the slight uptick offensively. Another one could be Gorman, but at this point, I'm skeptical that Gorman can even have the uptick a little bit there.
Gorman's in
so my question then is, again, like what you're saying is, okay, how much of an uptick am I getting from Wynn / Gorman or even Scott? Like, I have a tough time seeing it at this point with these guys.
How about if I just replace Walker with a league average hitter?
At what point are we doing that?
Well, if it's Walker or somebody else that can step into those shoes in right field. Right, I don't know when that happens, T-Bone, to your point. I have no idea. But if you simply get league average production from the right field spot, I do wonder how much better of a team this is. Because last year he was worth -2 wins. Do you just become a 2 wins better team by somebody else not being awful?
I don't know if they're going to do that, though, because if they're going into a rebuild, I think they're going to give them the runway.
Understood, and that's why I'm saying, like, maybe it's just Walker becoming average that does this for you. That's not a high bar to clear, guys. All of this is just requiring some of these guys to not be awful. So I don't know.
Unfortunately, though, I think a lot of these guys just might be that. And you're in a position as the Cardinals to where you're waiting for the next wave to be ready to take over that. And it might be a season where you just deal with players that are just bad.
Maybe. Or maybe you do have some guys that come through your system, like maybe Baez continues to hit. And you get to June and that guy's ready for a promotion. You get to July and Liam Doyle's ready to reach the big league level. Quinn Matthews comes back this season. He's healthy. And by June, he's somebody that can help you in your rotation. And now Pallante's out, Quinn Matthews is in, and you've got better production there as well. There were a lot of outs for them to be better this year. Guys, where are they getting significantly worse? Honestly, where is this team from what you saw last year going to be a significantly worse baseball club? Let's assume Brendan Donovan is back just for this conversation. Where can you look at it and be like, man, don't know that you could expect that again. It's basically just the Contreras spot.
Well, and even
they
then,
reached mostly their floor in all of these positions.
And even then, like Contreras by positions kind of being replaced by Burley, which is about what he was.
You would then though have to replace Burleson's production with somebody else. So whether it's Burleson or Contreras,
circle. But my hope would be then Nootbaar would bounce back. And him, I'm more confident. Well, I don't know about confident, but I feel better about him bouncing back than like Walker, for example. The only one that there's not a spot on the roster I look at and go, they're significantly getting worse. There's just so many questions that something could emerge, right? Like I'm with you. I don't think there's a spot on the roster I'd say they significantly got worse. I also don't know if there's a spot on the roster I'd say they significantly got better. If you want to argue catcher, I think that's fair if they're going to stick with Herrera behind the plate because of his offense. The question, though, becomes like, okay, well, how bad is he defensively and how much does that really equal out to what you had behind the plate with Pajas, who was bad offensively but great defensively?
I just think there's more room for this team to go up than to go down.
See, I would view it the opposite because if you're average, which is what I would grade them out at is right now, right? I think if you're 77 win or whatever it was, 76 wins.
Let me clarify real quick. I'm talking about from last year. When I go through what they produced last season, I think that it's really hard for them to go down from where they were. And it's a lot easier for them to go slightly up at a lot of these different positions. I'm having a hard time going through one by one to see like, okay, catcher, will you be better than 22% below league average offensively there this year?
Yeah.
I think so.
How much worse defensively, though?
I don't know, but that is such a low bar to clear. I think it would be really hard for them to get much worse there. At first base, 23% above league average offensively. I think that feels about right for Burleson. Could you go down there? Sure, absolutely. I'm not going to talk you out of that. Brendan Donovan, can he basically be what he was last year? Sure. Yeah. Mason Wynn, 10% below league average offensively. I think it's easier for that to go up than down for him.
I would agree.
Third base this year, 13% below league average offensively. Do you think that's more likely to go up or down?
Who are we saying is there?
Whoever.
If it's Gorman, I think there's a chance it could go down.
In this scenario, Brendan Donovan is your second baseman. Let's say it's J.J.
Weatherholt. If it's Weatherholt, there's a chance it stays there because he's a rookie.
But is it more likely to go up or down?
I would say more likely to go up, but
I agree.
not by much.
Left field, 5% below league average.
That one, I think there's a chance it goes down.
Okay. Center field, 30% below league average. Do you think that's more likely to go up or down?
I feel like I'm required to say up.
Jordan Walker in right field last year, 35% below league average. Is that more likely to go up or down?
Stick with Walker all season. I think it could go down.
Okay. You guys get my point. Like when you say the idea that I am, which is that the Cardinals lineup is more likely this year to be better than it was worse, or better this year compared to last year, it sounds crazy. You're like, well, they lost Wilson Contreras. How are they going to be better? That's ridiculous, BK. That's so stupid. And then you actually go through the numbers from their lineup from a year ago. It's hard for them to get worse. Like it is really difficult to see a scenario in which this team will be worse offensively than it was last year. Forget the names, just put the numbers next to it. The same thing is true for their rotation when you actually go through it. Is it likely that their number one starter this year will have a better than a 4.3 ERA? I think it's easier to get better than worse there. The number two starter, is it likely to be 4.2 or better? Probably similar. Number three starter, 4.8. Four starter, 5.3. Five starter, 5.2. These numbers are not hard to match, guys. They're incredibly easy to match. So that's my point.
They're also easy to get worse, though.
Yeah,
I mean, pitching-wise,
Because
you
there's not much
just don't
ceiling
know.
to this team. And I think that's where it gets
Agreed.
hard for me. And I the other thing, too, like we're going through this, I don't know if you guys feel this way or not, and maybe it's I kind of feel this way. They kind of overperformed last year to get – it was kind of – their win-loss was surprising, right? Like 78 wins for what their numbers showed, and to be in the race for as long as they were was surprising.
That's why I'm skeptical the record is going to be bad because I think our Ollie Marmol could get better out of them.
See, I don't know if he can do it again, and that's my problem. That's not a shot at Ollie. I mean, he's been handed a bad hand to try and do it again. And bullpens are fragile, and the bullpen was the driving force for them last year. If I had to bet today, would it be below whatever that number was, 77? My bet would be yes. I think they will end up worse than 77 wins this year.
I'm kind of there, but I don't think it's significantly worse. I don't think we're talking like 67 wins. I think you're talking a couple of wins less.
Alongside Alex Ferrario and Tanner Hendrickson, I'm Brandon Kiley. It's BK and Ferrario here on 101 ESPN. Excited for the next 2 months to have these kinds of conversations about why the Cardinals might not be quite as terrible as some are projecting
and
them
BK
to
will
be.
tell you that
I like that you're the driving force behind it.
Hey, man, I did it for the Blues. I just had to stop like the second week of October.
The difference is I think people hear me say they can be better in some of these spots, and they're like, oh, so you think they're making the playoffs?
Yeah, because you're just a pro playoff Cardinals guy. That's what you are.
No, I think
You'll see 2 weeks into where everyone in the NL Central is underperforming. You're like, guys, the National League is wide open. Why can't an underdog group go out there and win?
Yeah.
My belief, my view at least on this is a lot of people have been resigned to the idea that the Cardinals are going to lose 100 games. I see this team as extremely unlikely to lose 100 games. I just don't think they're that bad.
What would you put the odds at for that? Like percentage-wise?
10%.
Okay. Yeah. I like 15, but yeah, I think it's around there.
I think it's extremely hard to lose 100 games. Like, you have to be so bad. Your roster has to be so depleted.
What are we in this for, though, guys? Are we in this to be a 75-win team, or are we in this to get a good pick?
I think they've done basically everything they can to be bad, and that results in them being around a 75 to 80 win team. Somewhere in that range.
Damn it, Heim.
Because their young players are better than some of the older players that they got rid of. They're cheap, but they're better than some of the old guys that they got rid of. And I just think it's going to be a more enjoyable style of play. And there's going to be openings for those young players.
Yep.
Now, like previously, they would have young guys that would be blocked. J.J. Weatherholt wouldn't get opportunities because Nolan Arenado is here. Or young first baseman emerges during the season. He's tearing the cover off of the baseball. But you've got 36-year-old Paul Goldschmidt hitting 220, and you just can't possibly move him out of the lineup. You know, like
that's the part I agree on. Like the fact that they might be bad. I don't care because it is so much more refreshing to watch guys get opportunities and learn at this level than it is watching the same guys that have underperformed year after year and acting as if there's a reason they're still on this roster.
You can also just ride the hot hand this year. Mm-hmm. If you've got a guy that's hitting the crap out of the ball,
like
you don't
Joel
have to,
Pozo, baby. Yeah.
For
Maybe
real,
not
though.
that hot hand.
I mean, you don't have to defer to the veteran because who's the veteran?
Yeah.
Who's the guy that you have to get into the lineup over that young player that's playing his ass off right now? They really don't exist on this roster. I guess Brendan Donovan, but he can play anywhere, so you can figure it out. So
he should be on the team anyway.
I do think this team has a chance to be a little
From
better.
the 314. Great new motto for St. Louis sports. We've done everything we can to be bad.
Put it on a T-shirt.
I mean, it might have to be. We got to get those picks, baby.
Great new motto. We did our job. Now it's up to
now
the
2
players
years.
to suck.
That was the model for the last 5 years.
Coming up next, one's got to go here on 101 ESPN.
Miss the Blues game? Want to hear the highlights? Need player reaction? Want more analysis and opinion? It's all here on Curbside, your next day postgame podcast with a voice of the St. Louis Blues, Chris Kerber. Catch new episodes of Curbside every morning after every Blues game on 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app.
Curbside is presented by Blue Note Roofing. Roofing, siding, and gutters. Your St. Louis roofing experts. Visit BlueNoteRoofingSTL.com for a free inspection. And by Bellman Automotive for the best price on a new Buick, GMC, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, or a used vehicle. Shop Bellman and Troy online and at Bellman.com. You can't do better than Bellman. social with 101 ESPN. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, Blue Sky, and YouTube at 101 ESPN.
101 ESPN Sports Center.
Flyers invade Shea Fitz Arena. I'm Bradford Bruns. Your Sports Center update is powered by Saliga Heating and Cooling. Tonight at 7, number 21, St. Louis University eyes its 15th straight win as an A-10 rival in the form of Dayton hits Midtown. Anthony Grant's squad has dropped 3 straight. Slew, of course, needed that Robbie Avila tray to edge George Washington on Tuesday. Pucks, the Blues will host Columbus tomorrow. About 16 hours ago, Jordan Kyrou's three-point effort helped STL defeat Florida 5-4. This SportsCenter update was presented by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin heating and air conditioning dealer.
BK and Ferrario are broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. This is BK and Ferrario. Time now for One's Gotta Go. We offer up the talking points, and you get to pick which one's gotta go on 101 ESPN.
Count that big pen.
Alongside Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. 314-399-9646 is the Air Comfort Service text line. You give us 4 options. We'll tell you which one's got to go here on BK and Ferrario. One's got to go condiment edition, Alex.
No white gelatinous substance here, big boy.
Barbecue sauce, ketchup, mustard, or ranch? Ranch for me.
Ketchup for me. I don't use ketchup on like anything anymore.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think I would get rid of ketchup, too.
I've never heard anything more surprising on the show.
What, ketchup?
Than T-Bone saying that it's ketchup. It's got to go.
Really? I think that is kind of surprising. T-Bone's more of like a... T-Bone seems like he's a ketchup kind of guy.
That's what I'm saying. I'm very surprised that you said that's the one that you got to get rid of.
I see where you're going with it.
I can do it. I'll do it with, like, fries. That's about it. I don't want it on a cheeseburger.
That's the one thing I despise.
I'd rather have mustard on a cheeseburger.
I would have assumed that you were a ketchup guy. Like, it would have surprised me less if you said, I eat ketchup with my steak.
Oh yeah, I'm not that big a psychopath.
That feels very Tanner Hendricks.
I'm not a psychopath.
The only thing I use ketchup for is I like put it in when I'm making sauces.
Somebody said ketchup is a kid's condiment. That's right.
And that's why we thought T-Bone was doing it. Yeah, you know what? That is a fair statement by you, BK. I thought you would have put it on your tomato wrap, little ketchup in there and say, I got tomato sauce on it.
Mustard on that.
Fish sticks. With ketchup
for
lunch?
You totally do fish sticks with ketchup for lunch.
I don't like, you know what's weird? Do not like any kind of sauce with my fish sticks.
That's fine. I don't
like tartar sauce.
I'll ask you a follow-up question on this.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've had fish.
Okay, I was going to say.
No, when you said that, like I thought back to like when my mom would make them growing up.
We're about to enter Lent season, boys. So there's fish every Friday for the Ferrario household.
314-399-9646 from the 314. BK just assumes T-Bone has the same diet as Luca. No, Luca's palate is far more advanced than Tanner's.
No.
T-Bone still does American slices of cheese, so.
As you should. As you should. That's good stuff.
Spend an extra $2 and buy normal cheese.
The only thing I need
buy adult cheese.
The only thing I don't need American cheese for is like a burger, right?
T-Bone,
Pepper jack.
This might surprise you, but if you hold a slice of cheese, it's not supposed to bend forward. It's supposed to stand straight up.
When I hold it in the wrapping, it doesn't.
No, it still does.
From the 314, one's got to go committee edition. The college football playoff, the AP poll, MLB or NFL Hall of Fame.
Can I get rid of both NFL and MLB Hall of Fame?
I'd get rid of the MLB Hall of Fame panel.
Honestly, all of them are awful.
I'd get rid of most because they've disappointed me over the last couple of years.
AP poll. Super easy. They can't watch the games. Like the people that are voting on the AP poll, and this is not a shot at
apparently
them.
The NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame voters can't watch the games either.
They are, generally speaking, covering a football game on Saturdays. And so, like, if you're covering the Mizzou game, and let's say this Saturday it starts at 2:30, a lot of the time you'll get to the game a couple hours in advance to be able to cover all the pregame stuff, see if there's anybody that's going through or not going through pregame warmups, that you can report on that. Then you go up to the press box. Maybe you catch a little bit of a 11 a.m. game, maybe the finish of it. Then you get to the start of your game. You get to the end. You go to your post-game press conference, all of that stuff. Then you're writing about the game. And finally, you're done. You leave there by, 9 o'clock-ish. You get home. You get to see the last 30 minutes of the 6 or 7 o'clock games. So you saw outside of your game that day, if you're covering a 2 o'clock game, an hour of football, so you probably saw like 4 other teams play.
You can't come to a conclusion on that?
That's
no.
That's cool what you just said, but none of that matters because the committee is what really votes on it, not the AP. NCAA's got to go. There's no rules.
Yeah, I would have been in on, like I said this earlier in here when we had this conversation when I think it was Florida lost to South Florida. Like Florida was voted ahead of them for some reason in the AP Top 25. And I said, we'll just have the committee do it. And then I watched the committee suck at their job for like 6 weeks and go, okay, maybe they can't be trusted either because they're clearly not watching. They did, but come on.
Just get rid of the NCAA,
like
man.
Them saying, like,
it's a Wild West.
The one that sticks out to me. Like, we watched the Alabama game against Auburn, and they had to move up a spot. Would you turn it off at halftime? They were terrible in the second half.
Oh, it was a gritty win.
Ugh, bite me.
Did you see that fumble at the end of the game?
Did you say bite me?
From the 3-1-4. One's got to go, Blues edition. Falk, Shin, Kyrou, Benner. I'm kidding. In all seriousness, probably Justin Falk. I think you're going to get a pretty good return from it at the deadline this year.
I agree. If I were to rank him, it'd be Falk, then Kyrou. But yeah, Falk would be number one.
Falk picked a really good season to have his second best year in a Blues uniform.
Yeah, I would agree. It'd be Falk. I think 2, probably Kyrou, 3, Shen.
Depending on where Falk, no, Shen would be at the bottom of my list. And that's coming from somebody that loves Jordan Binnington. I don't know where Falk is going to get traded to. My guess is it's going to be a playoff contender, a team that could win the Stanley Cup. It would not surprise me if he is a massive piece for that team to go on a run in the playoffs.
Yeah. He's been playing really well. I mean, that game that he played last night was ridiculous.
That assist.
I mean, he bodied 2 Florida players to make that play.
There's somebody on the text line that gives you some information on American cheese T-bone. You should probably go ahead and read that one as well.
I'm not going to let them ruin it for me.
Alongside Tanner and Alex on BK, you've got BK and Ferrario here at 101 ESPN.
Is something better to do, text line?
It is 1:45. Your time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Coming up next, we'll hit the rewind, get you guys to the weekend here on BK and Ferrario.
101 ESPN is your home for Blues hockey. Every month during the season, you can score a pair of tickets to a Blues game at Enterprise Center. A new winner is picked every month throughout the season. Enter to win now at 101ESPN.com or on your 101 mobile app presented by Ted Cruz Frozen Custard.
Tanner Hendrickson here, in Super Bowl 60 is just a little over a week away, and DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60. Look, it's not too early to start building your parlays over there on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Play I'm going with, and I'm leaning towards Seahawks minus 4.5 on the spread. JSN, I think, is going to have huge games. So I'm going JSN 100-plus receiving yards and an anytime touchdown score. And Drake May's dealing with something. He's been limited in practice. He hasn't played that well in the postseason either, if we're being honest. So I'm going to go Drake May under 222.5 passing yards over there on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. And get this, they've had your back all NFL postseason long, and they'll continue to do so during the Super Bowl as they've got your back with early exit protection. If a player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code Tanner. That's code Tanner to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
Jamie Rivers here, and it's time for a New Jersey giveaway. We have your shot to score an autographed Blues jersey signed by number 55, Colton Parayko. Enter to win that Colt 55 autographed jersey right now at 101ESPN.com or on the 101 mobile app. Courtesy of St. Luke's, ranked top 2% in the nation for cardiac surgery by Health Grades. Visit stlukes-stl.com. This is BK and Ferrario on 101 ESPN. Broadcasting live from the E&B Granite Studios at the Centene Community Ice Center. Presented by Bud Light and Skimmer's Original Vodka Iced Tea on 101 ESPN. Let's run it back with a daily rewind on BK and Ferrario. Brought to you by Gloria Loom, your home sold guaranteed realty. Selling your home begins at GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Alongside Alex and T1 on BK. If you missed anything from today's show, be sure to check it out on the podcast page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. It's all sponsored by
Schaefer Door Company.
That 101 ESPN app is free to download, super easy to use, and it's sponsored by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Breaking news from Jeff Passan in Major League Baseball. Jacob Wilson and the Athletics are in agreement on a 7-year deal worth $70 million. It does include an 8th-year option as well. Wilson was second in the AL Rookie of the Year voting last year. He hit .310, did have some power. Some of the underlying stuff suggests maybe there's some regression to come, but a good player nonetheless, very good defensively. Alex, if there was news that broke and the Cardinals had a similar extension in place with Mason Wynn, how would you feel?
Impartial. I don't know if I'd be handing on any extensions right now if I'm the Cardinals because I don't know what I am moving forward. But $10 million for the next 7 years, I'm okay with that. Because if for some reason he pops off offensively, that's a steal. And worst case scenario, he's just gold glove caliber and average offensively. That's $10 million at a preem position. Or premier permission. Premier. What day is it? No,
this is Friday.
Premier was the right word. I just couldn't get it all
They're in
out.
different spots in their process as well. I think Mason has 1 fewer years of club control. So you probably, maybe it's like 6 for 60 or 6 for 65 for Mason Wynn.
I know Tanner's doing that deal right now.
I would give consideration to doing a deal like that for him because, I mean, you look across Major League Baseball in the offseason, a lot of these guys are utility players that are getting $10 million a year. I mean, that's Harrison Bader money. Bader made $10.5 million on a multi-year extension this offseason to sign, a week ago now? So if you're telling me I can get Mason Wynn for the same AAV as what Harrison Bader is signing for, yeah, I think that's good business if you're the Cardinals personally.
Yeah, I wouldn't like it if I saw this as the announcement. The Cardinals did it with Mason Wynn. I'm kind of with Alex. You're in a spot where you're handing out contract extensions, and I'm anti-contract extension to begin with. I don't think he's a guy that I would be giving $70 million to over 7 years right now.
Yeah, I just don't think you're at a team right now in a position that could hand out extensions. You're trying to figure out who all of your pieces are, let them all play itself out until you find that star. And when you find that star, you pay them.
All right, so Blues win last night. They are back in action tomorrow. Once again, battle for the Blue Jackets versus the Blues here in St. Louis. I'll be in attendance for that game, so expect something weird. I've been to 3 games so far this year as a fan with my son in attendance. Tomorrow will be my 4th. 2 of those games went to a shootout.
Actually, I'm not going to complain. It's a 6:00 game on Saturday, so I'm okay with that.
And the other game was a win against Chicago. So
wasn't there like 12 goals scored in that game too?
Yep.
Like 7-5 final score.
Yep. I exclusively go to weird games this season. So we'll see. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah. They're doing an Olympic send-off too for all the Olympians tomorrow at the arena, and I think it's sold out. So there might be tickets available still, but it should be a fun one. And then the dad's trip is those last two road games before they go into the Olympic break. So
this weekend, Mizzou has a game tomorrow. It's a big one, and not in terms of them going up against a big-time opponent, but a game that they need to win. They desperately need to win this game. They're playing against Mississippi State. They're terrible. Tonight, SLU versus Dayton, almost a must-win game for different reasons for SLU. This is about potentially securing an at-large bid for them in the A-10. They're one of the two best teams in the conference, probably the best team in the A-10. It's just one of those conferences. There's no guarantees of you getting in if you don't win the conference tournament. Winning games like this helps you get to that place. So they're almost a 10-point favorite against Dayton. I expect them to win tonight. T-Bone, your Illini played last night. How you feeling about Illinois right now?
I feel great about them. Like, I was seeing if I could buy my championship gear online last night yet. Look, they're just so deep, right? I mean, they'll run 8 deep. Last night they ran 70. That's just because Boswell's injured. And if one guy like Wagler, their leading scorer, is having an off night, and he was a little off last night, all right, Mirkovic can pick up the slack, or Stojakovic can pick up the slack. And they haven't really had that in years past. Like last year, Will Riley and Yakachonis, they didn't score. They were going to lose. This year, that's not the case. They run 8 deep. I think they can win the national title this year, and I don't hesitate saying that.
I think they can as well. They've got a big one on Sunday against Nebraska. This one's on the road. Nebraska, they're one loss in conference so far. How are you feeling going into this one, T-Bone?
I actually feel pretty good. I second time around, I get to see them. They only lost by, I think it was 3 in that first matchup. I think they win this weekend. And Nebraska, I think it's one of their top scorers is dealing with an illness. Sounds like he's probably going to play, but I think Illinois ends up winning this time and gets their revenge.
Should be a really fun one. Nebraska, very good shooting team. Big-time three-point shooting. Would expect a decent amount of points in that game. Both teams, though, very good defensively as well. It's been a really fun show today. Had a lot of fun talking with you guys. Appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. If you missed any of the show, you missed our conversation with Mike McKenna, you missed Ask Us Anything, you missed us talking about Pavel Buchnevich, you missed T-Bone telling you about why Mason Wynn sucks and the Cardinals are going to lose 100 games. All of that is available for you.
To be fair, I did not say sucks.
Page, 101ESPN.com, and the free 101 ESPN app is where you go to find it. You can also find the latest edition of each BK and Ferrario show from the week and the Last Minute Blues podcast over at youtube.com/101ESPN-STL. Alex, what's available for them over on the latest?
Specifically Robert Thomas and Jordan Kyrou, as well as talking about some of the development for some of the players like a Dalibor Dvorsky, who somebody on the show called it a hidden gem. You'll have to tune in to find out who. It wasn't me, so don't just assume it was me.
We also today talked about Jordan Kyrou. We also talked about Jordan Kyrou's future today on the show and whether or not his recent performance changes our outlook for him on the team.
Bring up how you're super high on the Cardinals and they're going to
you think they're going to be in the playoff race.
T-Bone hates them. I think they could win 80 games.
And I'm impartial. I just sit back and watch.
That's the difference between the two of us.
I don't know.
I think so.
So text line said, I dare one of you guys to watch the Aussie Open final. T-Bone will probably be tuned in tonight.
No, yeah, we did find that out. T-Bone's a poser and doesn't like tennis.
We'll break down all the college hoops. We'll also break down whatever happens tomorrow in the SLU Billikens, or tonight in the SLU Billikens game, tomorrow in the Blues game on Monday for you guys. For Alex and T-Bone, I'm BK. Appreciate Bradford back in the studio for us as we've been live at the E&B Granite Studios out at the Centene Community Ice Center. We'll talk to you on Monday. The Fast Lane is next here on 101 ESPN.
The Redbird Report, your front row seat to all things Cardinals. From the dugout to the diamond, BK and T-Bone go deep with the latest news, notes, and analysis. Watch the Redbird Report on YouTube or listen online at 101ESPN.com.